But I was there and I saw a Undertaker-themed wedding that was in our hotel. The minister was dressed like the Undertaker, and yeah, it was
Did
great.
they I don't know, rest in peace? What do you say to that? I do rest in peace.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you just say you roll your eyes back in your head and you just go with it.
Yeah,
but it was awesome. I mean, it was just a really good vibe. Everyone was happy to be there, and
except for Kane.
When, but I just
does anybody object to this marriage? I do.
Well, he's probably okay if it's a man and a woman. So
that's true. Just not Katie Vick. I'm unloading the meat. I'm loading 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 the meat. I don't even know what it means, what it is, what it is, what it is, what it is, what it is. I'm unloading the meat. I'm loading the meat. I'm loading the meat. What's up, guys? Welcome to Unloading Meat. And yes, we're joined by the new mascot, Miss Nyla Rose, on the ground right here. And my guest today is a hilarious comedian. You can see him all around the Tulsa and Oklahoma area. Please give it up for the one, the only, Dustin DeVore.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up, man?
Doing all right.
Thank you so much for being here, man.
It's great.
It's been a long time coming because we've been friends on Facebook for a while.
Yeah.
And then it was just one of those days where you were like, "Hey, when are we gonna do something?"
Yeah. You know, and it's been a hot minute since I've been to the Ville.
Yeah.
So it's still Bartlesville.
Yeah, it's still Bartlesville.
Except now you have a vacant tower. So there you go.
That is true.
Yeah, hot in the presses.
Which sucks because they have an awesome bar at the top of it. It's called the Copper Bar.
Yeah.
And if you've never been, I mean, you probably won't be able to go very soon. But it's an entire bar at the top of this big building skyscraper in Bartlesville.
Yeah, we're talking about the Price Tower.
The Price Tower, yeah.
You know, he designed that in 1929, and it was supposed to be in New York.
Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah, Frank Lloyd Wright. And it didn't get built until 1956 here.
Yeah.
And it's designed to be like a tree. So it's the leaves and everything. It's a really cool building. Unfortunately, hopefully they'll fix it.
Have you been inside it?
Oh, I stayed at it before.
Yes, it's designed like a tree, and especially I have even DoorDashed up there and stuff like that. It's very uncomfortable. Like the edges inside.
The rooms are pie shaped.
Yeah.
They are. They're literally
like awkward.
You walk into like a piece of pie, and the rooms that I stayed in, because I'm not a wealthy person, were the old business offices, which are just single pie shaped building rooms, but the rest of it, I mean, even then when I stayed there in like the mid 2000s, it still reeked of that like 60s aesthetic and everything else, and
it's like you're walking back into Mad Men. It's literally like even the elevator has the old buttons and everything. It's very nostalgic,
which I love a lot. But it's a sad, city of Bartlesville. If you're listening, buy the building, fix it up, make it a good hotel.
Because the last owners, when I was doing my live shows, Unloading Meat Presents on YouTube. Subscribe now. I'm not doing a cheap plug or anything like that.
No,
I'm not so just like that. No, when I was looking for venues for my shows, I hit them up because I've been to the Copper Bar and had drinks there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you get to the top, it's a fantastic view because it's just an open skyline of Bartlesville and a nice entire bar and everything's made out of copper.
Yeah.
And it's just a cool scene. I was like, that'd be cool on camera. And I would love to film like a show there, and just put on a comedy show at the top of that tower.
Just don't let Tulsa's unhoused population in there. That'll strip it all off and take it, trade it in.
Yeah.
Copper wire, copper bar,
Yeah, I know. It's like depending on who's going to buy this. I mean, we got a lot of meth heads in Bartlesville.
But it is one of those places that weird subject to start on. But it is one of those places that has that copper patina where a lot of it is starting to turn. It's not quite as old as the Statue of Liberty, but it is starting to get that green copper patina on it and everything. And it's, as a historian, I kind of take affront that the city of Bartlesville didn't buy it and keep it in the trust. And, to do private ownership and stuff like that is just kind of, I don't know. It's I don't know what's the rating on this podcast.
We can go mature. It's
mature. Okay,
we can say fuck.
It's very shitty of them to do that. To then now bitch about it being sold off and stuff like that. To be like, well, you're a city, buy it.
I mean, it's like the old Frank Phillips hotel.
Yeah,
is now basically just apartments.
Yeah,
for lower income people, and it's like no offense or anything like that, but it's just like that was a historical landmark that was now, and I had my first wedding there actually.
My first wedding was in the ballroom of the Frank. We were one of the last people to do that before they closed it down, and then some company bought it, and now it's just apartments. And I mean, that's what happens. A lot of the stuff, like Ocean China closed down, with a long time Chinese place in Bartlesville, and I went to a antique shop and I found some of their knives that were on sale, and I actually have them now. I bought them. I was like, that's a piece of Bartlesville history. I was like, I want to keep that shit.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people that's like everything must be protected at all costs. But I mean, if you're gonna then bitch about it going away, then just like then step in. You know, there are certain things like I'm a Cubs fan, and I was talking to my wife, and I was like, they've sold off. One of the aesthetics of Wrigley is the rooftops, you know, and they've sold off one of the big buildings that has the rooftops in left field, and now they're turning it into one of those bottom floor businesses, 4 floors of apartments, and then help my fuck, a goddamn pickleball court on top. And I'm just like, you are killing.
What is the deal with that?
Old white people need something, you know. Yes, what's the deal? Yeah. You know, that joke was kosher, I get it. But you're a man after my own heart with a soundboard.
I do. I try. Bruh. She can't hear it.
I used to be great with it, but then my old Mac died that had the audio in and audio out and everything when I did that.
I have some wrestling ones too. We can go.
Oh.
My meat. Oh, that's not the one.
My meat.
I think this one is. You fucking mark. I always have to have that. I'm a big MJF mark. I love MJF.
Oh, I love MJF. The greatest Jewish wrestler of all time.
Agreed.
Because fuck Bill Goldberg.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Even though he has ties to Tulsa, fuck Bill Goldberg.
The funniest thing and best thing Bill Goldberg ever did was the Roy D. Mercer skit.
How about I just come down there and give you an ass whooping?
What are you, nuts?
No, I guarantee you I'm coming down there to whoop somebody's ass if I don't get this thing took care of.
My friend, you and what f***ing army's gonna whoop my ass?
Listen, it ain't nothing for me to whoop a man's ass.
Well, bring it on, brother.
By God, I'll whoop you like patting for a dance. It don't matter to me that you're one of them wrestlers. I know that ain't real anyway, except down in Mexico.
I'll show you how real it is.
By
friend.
God.
You come find me and I'll knock your f***ing head off.
How'd I get down there to where you're gonna be? Hello?
How the hell did you get my number anyway?
Well, listen, I'll tell you what, I got it there from the WCW. I told them I had a problem. I got me a jackhammer full of ass whoop I'm getting ready to unload on you.
Well, there you go.
So what you gonna do about it?
My friend, you show up and I'll show you what I'm gonna do about it.
Hey, you don't pull nothing out of your tights and try to ground glass into my forehead, are you?
There you go.
Listen. Worst part about it is he got laid off of his job at the Sonic.
You hold on 1 second.
No, I can't hold on. Listen, he missed the winder with the tray because he's so dizzy and blurred his vision, and he dumped a whole foot long in the big boy's lap. But it ain't funny. It ain't funny, and that fella come out of that truck and whooped his ass.
You got it.
And now we got more doctor bills to get took care of. And we're going to run him by the nervologist that we've been seeing.
What the hell is a nervologist?
Nervologist, he's a nerve specialist fella, the Dr. Charlie Downs.
I knew this was it.
Yeah, and
it's hilarious to this day.
He gets such a pass for like hurting so many people.
Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Bret Hart. And to this day, he doesn't really like... did you watch the Who Killed WCW on Vice? The documentary?
No, I watched a different Who Killed WCW, but like
you just watched it live.
I didn't know. Kinda. I mean,
we all did.
I mean, I was rocking my DX shirt after the NWO expanded to 97 members, and
see, I never got into WCW. I was late to it, and then like I was always WWF because I got exposed to wrestling when I was like 13.
Yeah,
and it's like we lived out in the country for a long time, didn't have cable.
Yeah,
and then we got cable. I got USA, and I remember my first match I ever saw was on like a Sunday, and it was like a repeat on Sunday Night Heat. And they were showing highlights of like the Lions Den match between like Ken Shamrock and
Owen Hart.
Yeah,
right?
it was like one of the or Dan Severn or it was like,
no, it was
Ken Shamrock and
Steve Blackman.
Steve Blackman.
Steve Blackman. Yes.
And I was like, this is pro wrestling. This is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
so I need to get a age check here.
Okay.
What
I'm 36.
36.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 43 going on 44.
Okay.
So I'm Richard Petty going on to Kyle Petty.
Okay.
That's a NASCAR reference. I'm sure all your audience gets that.
Oh, I'm Dale hit the wall. It's okay.
Hey, the biggest choke job in sports, turn 3 at Daytona.
Yeah. Watch out for that wheel.
Yeah. But Yeah, so my
What's up, Dale Jr.? Bud.
Yeah, Dale Jr. actually cool guy.
Yeah, except he's a ginger.
Yeah, well, okay, but
He lost his soul when his dad died.
yeah, true.
I can riff like this forever.
No, it's all
we're
good.
gonna get along.
It's all
We're gonna
good.
get along
It's all
great.
good. No, so I think my first wrestling memory, and I don't get the dates because to me WrestleMania dates are like just these weird amorphous things.
I just know it's March or April.
Well,
It's always around April Fool's Day.
WrestleMania 4 is pretty much where I can take my wrestling back to.
Okay.
And that's when Macho Man won the tournament, and so I have watched wrestling for the vast majority of my life. And when WCW had their 86 weeks or whatever Eric Bischoff
83
calls,
weeks.
83 weeks, whatever. Like,
Don't sue me. I know you probably have it fucking copyrighted.
my friends were all like, "Have you checked out this? Whatever." I was like, "WCW? What am I like?" Because I remember, I would be at my grandma's house and I would watch, the Clash of the Champions and stuff like that. But I was always like, and I know this sounds so stupid when you talk about pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But I was always like, WCW was for the rednecks.
Yeah.
And I was like, WWF was for us refined individuals.
If you ever want to see that, go watch Eastbound and Down and like the Ric Flair character that
yeah.
Will Ferrell plays.
Yeah,
All that shit.
yeah.
Like that demographic of people.
Yeah, and I just always thought that. And then all my friends, now, my family, God bless them, we were an early adopter to Mini Dish. And so we had Dish Network very early on. And I had the Sunshine Network, which was out of Florida, but they broadcast ECW.
Ooh,
like
okay.
good ECW, like the real ECW.
Yeah.
And I remember inviting friends over, and they were like, "This is what pro wrestling can be." And I was like, "Yeah, this is what pro wrestling can be." And everybody got into the NWO. Everybody got into. I remember. I think it was even like. I want to say that like one of my college dorms did a maybe World Order. Like it was so ubiquitous that like it was just. I mean, but they were pulling in like 7 million people watching wrestling.
It was becoming into the lexicon of just pop culture.
Yeah, and now they're like, "Hey, can we get 1.5?" It's like, and it was just so huge. DX and NWO, all that stuff, even ECW to an extent for people. It was so awesome, but it was also kind of like, well, it's my thing a little bit. What are you jabrones doing over here? But I just always like WCW. Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's good. Hogan doing the heel turn.
Yeah.
And if they'd have kept it tight, it'd have been different. But just they didn't know what to do.
See, I didn't really get into NWO. Like my first WrestleMania was probably around WrestleMania 15.
Okay.
And it was right after
before the best ever.
Yeah, 17. I agree.
The X7. Well, everyone agrees.
Yeah.
It's X7.
Although
some jabrones are trying to say it's like this year or last year's.
No. I do have a soft spot for 19.
Okay.
I love 19.
Who headlined 19?
Lesnar Angle.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That entire card up to like every match had a good story. The opening was Rey Mysterio versus Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
The cruiserweight, and actually had a good story.
Is there anything sadder than watching Matt Hardy walk around these days?
I know.
You're just like, bro.
He always had the Jimmy leg. He called it the Jimmy leg. He had a bad knee.
Yeah.
And he got it fixed, and then it's starting to go back again.
So yeah, top to bottom 19. Man, it makes me want to pull up that card. Have you been to a WrestleMania?
I have not.
I have been to 3. I have been to 15 or 25, 30, and 34.
Oh, wow.
So I've been to Houston and then 2 in New Orleans because in my estimation, and I think I can say this without hesitation, the absolute best place to go see a WrestleMania is New Orleans.
Okay.
More so, I know next year.
That was the Daniel Bryan one, right?
Yeah, I saw Taker lose a streak.
Oh.
And that was a moment where an entire NFL stadium just went silent. And you were just like, "Oh, that happened." Like, now I think Vegas next year will be great.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I think WrestleManias are best in a city that is walkable and has a very concentrated like fan area.
Yeah.
Because we were on Bourbon Street, and this was the best in business year, you know, what's best for business or the yes movement.
Yeah.
And people were just on the streets going, yes, 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 or going best for business. And all the indie shows, everything was compact.
Yeah.
If you wanted to walk to an indie show, you could walk to an indie show in like 15 or 20 minutes.
It's like the whole town was built set up to like to embrace the culture.
Like now I saw Super Collar of Honor, where I saw Kenny Omega versus, was that Cody Rhodes? Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes?
That might have been
yeah.
back then, yeah.
And that was a little bit outside of town, and we didn't even stick around for the main event, main event, because we noticed it was like 45 degrees and raining, and the Ubers were already starting to be $50, $60.
Yeah.
But outside of that, which had to be at a slightly bigger arena, all the indie shows were super close. I think Vegas will be the same way, because you can have these indie shows at venues that are all within the general confines of the city. And honestly, I recommend going to a now it's 2 nights. I don't like 2 nights. Just me. But I do recommend going to one. Go to one WrestleMania in person. Then go to another WrestleMania, but don't go to WrestleMania.
Okay.
Just do the indie shows, because they put on their best shows, because one, they know WWE scouts are around.
Yep.
And 2, they know there's a huge wrestling crowd around, and they can sell a shit ton of merch if they do a good job.
Yep.
I mean, we went to some little warehouse place and saw Moose, and he brought the house down, and it was great. And it was just one of those things of like, hey, do you have $15-$20? Go do this. You know, you want to go pay for a cover for a bar, or you want to go watch some of the best indie wrestling you've ever seen. And
like everybody's there. Like I when I talked to Sam Stackhouse, we talked about how like in Philadelphia this year, they were just sitting in the back where all the wrestlers were watching GCW and watching some shows, and like Kaylee Coco from Big Bang Theory is just sitting there in the crowd with them. And they're like, oh shit, like she's a fan. She was watching Paul Walter Hausen, the actor that does some wrestling too.
Oh yeah.
He was in a match and she's friends with him. And so she was in the crowd, like a whole bunch of actors and celebrities were in there watching indie wrestling.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you see so many people, and it was like the Waldorf Astoria in New Orleans is where all the wrestlers stay, and you can sit there and see them all and do stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
I never want to go that creepy. Like
I mean
outside the hotel and stuff like.
Well, no, because it's more of a organized, like, everybody, you know, you're not like creeping on them or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was there and I saw a Undertaker-themed wedding that was in our hotel. the minister was dressed like the Undertaker, and yeah, it was
Did
great.
They like, I don't know, rest in peace? Like, what do you say to that? I do rest in peace.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you just say, you roll your eyes back in your head and you just go with it.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I mean, it was just a really good vibe. Everyone was happy to be there, and
except for Kane.
But I just
does anybody object to this marriage? I do.
Well, he's probably okay if it's a man and a woman. So
that's true. Just not Katie Vick.
Yeah. But no, as I say is, like, when I went to the one in Houston, you know, I got to see Undertaker Michaels, great match.
That was one, right? Because number 2 was in Arizona.
Yeah, I got to sleep through Orton and Triple H, but yeah,
because they had to follow that.
Yeah,
and they did, and like that match pissed me off so bad because the build was like it's gonna be this big ass brawl. They had broke through the house and stuff like that, and then they just have a traditional wrestling match.
Yeah, no, it was not good.
It's like, this should have been like a Falls Count Anywhere, like weapons or something like that. Like, you know, you want to kill each other. Okay, go all out. Like, Triple H destroy him, you know? And it's like, nope, we're going to do a traditional main event.
The highlight for me of that WrestleMania 25 was being in the parking lot, and there was tailgating because it's Houston.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have that compact stuff. I didn't really know much about indie wrestling at that time anyway, but like, just everything's spread out in Houston. It's Texas, right?
Yeah.
And there was a guy that we were parked next to, and he and his crew, this one guy in their crew knew everyone's entrance moves. He could have been the mocap for 2K. And
Jay Lethal?
Yeah, I think it was L.A. Knight's been the one
Yeah.
recently. Yeah, but he could have been the mocap for the entrance because they would just throw on a theme song and then he would just like do it all.
Yeah.
And that was like the highlight of that fan experience.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess like the closest that a lot of people don't know that it's a really deep dive, but a lot of indie wrestlers, TNA wrestlers specifically, did mocap for 2K games and WWE games throughout the years.
yeah,
And that's what they did. They just did all the entrances and everything.
Yeah.
They had now you can be Undertaker, do his wrestling entrance on a bike, and like they had to recreate every single one of those. And like I guess now the equivalent, besides LA Knight's doing it now,
yeah.
was like the people that do those recreations during like the dark side of wrestling that are like phased out, kind of hazy, like the hazy recreations and the bad wigs.
Vic was a foot from missing the ring completely, which would have killed him. I wanted him to hit the floor, I just didn't throw him hard enough. I was trying to throw his ass to the floor. So we don't piss Jack off, because a fight's never over until Jack says it's over.
I can't believe he didn't die.
It's the luck of fools that this guy was not at least paralyzed. And I don't think Jack was particularly broken up about it.
I climbed down off of the gavel, and I went up to him, and when he was laying in the ring, I told him, I said, now we even, you.
Yes, I love
Because they're all indie wrestlers that they book to do that shit.
I love. Yes, I do love the.
It's always out of focus. You can
Yes.
just make out the mustache of Hulk Hogan sitting on the bed, dropping the
You
N-word.
could just make out Jimmy Snuka killing that guy.
Yeah.
Hey, are you sad that Chris Benoit's murderer will not be able to come to justice?
Oh yeah, Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, I
I
mean-
know. As long as
I want to keep that conspiracy theory going.
a fellow comedian, who's a wrestling fan, Boyd Heimer, we joked
Yeah,
about
Boyd.
it. I was like, hopefully a total gym wasn't involved. I guess he hung it up.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Chris Benoit, horrible human being, killed his wife and kids and all that fun stuff and himself. There's this rumor that Kevin Sullivan killed him. And
Nancy Benoit, what a woman.
what
Yeah.
woman?
Woman.
What a name,
Yeah.
woman.
That's the height of WCW booking with Kevin Sullivan, right?
She's
What's her name? Woman.
no. The two heights of WCW booking are
Shockmaster.
no. Well, I'm just naming. It's just Arachnaman and Asia instead of China.
Ooh, that was good.
Yeah, Asia. Just like, yeah, she's a woman. She's muscular. WWE's got one. Let's, what was Boomer or whatever they called JR's knockoff?
Oh yeah. Was it just Oklahoma?
Oh, Oklahoma. Yeah,
He was just Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was just Oklahoma.
My God.
Yeah, by God. I'm gonna make fun of his Bell's palsy.
Oh man, and like when he had the ass surgery, like we had to get like the colonoscopy or something like that, and the next day on Raw, he has Dr. Heine. Vince has Dr. Heine and has a fake JR getting a shit pulled out of his ass. Like the next day, after he's checking for colon surgery or cancer.
Well, Vince McMahon, legendary piece of shit.
Yeah, and also into shit.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
his
just
buddies-
ask Brock Lesnar.
His buddy's into piss, so
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Brother.
Yeah.
I'm unloading the meat. Unloading the meat. I'm unloading the meat.
This episode of Unloading Meat is not brought to you by the makers of the action figures behind me, such as Hasbro, Jazzwares, or even NECA. You may be thinking that they target, kids, but really their key demographic, fat asses like me. If you want me to afford more of this, awesome set design, make sure to reach out to your favorite sponsors and tell them to sponsor this fat ass. Now, back to the show.
I'm unloading the meat. Unloading the meat. I'm unloading the meat.
Now, I was into wrestling. I was always a WWE fan. And then, WCW, I just never got into until, there was a time where, I really liked the cruiserweights. So, I loved, I got into the cruiserweights and stuff, around the time, the Radicals came over, Benoit, Guerrero, Saturn, all them. I was like, oh, they came from WCW. And, I kind of was getting smart to the business around that time of, oh, there's, politics and it's fake and stuff like that. Or it's predetermined.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I'm not trying to say it's just fucking fake. But, sorry. But, spoiler alert. But you know what I mean? I kind of got wisened up to how the business worked and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, so I started appreciating the actual talent. And I started watching the work rate of the cruiserweights and Rey Mysterio and stuff like that. I was like, oh wow, these guys are fucking great. And that's when I started becoming a little bit more fan of WCW. And again, cable helped me kind of get the access back in the day.
Yeah, and it was, I remember those days of when it was you watched like Saturday morning, and before Monday Night Raw, and before you had a steady flow of stuff coming through.
Yeah, they have like Livewire.
Yeah, and
like WWE Livewire with Michael Cole.
And back in the day when stuff, and I still annoys the hell out of me today when like they're like SmackDown's pre-taped because we're in Europe or we're in Australia, and I'm like, you know what? Just put a blank screen on and just show me SmackDown live. So I don't want to watch a pre-taped thing.
Yeah,
because I have to do it because I love AEW, but I can't afford your pay-per-views, and I have to avoid the internet as much as possible to try to see what's going on. Well, All In. Yeah. AEW, speaking of All In, coming to Texas next year.
Yeah, that was a big announcement this week.
Right down the pike.
Yeah.
So
I like WWE. I grew up with it. I'm more of an AEW fan now, just because of I kind of followed them from Cody started it with the Bucks and all that stuff. And like I was a big day oneer on that. And then I ended up like last year or earlier this year into last year, I worked for Mikey Gruckus for a little bit. I was his editor for his podcast, Be Kind Rewind, and then like I got to work with a little bit of that kind of stuff. And like the coolest thing I ever had, like we were working on stuff and we were on a phone call, and like he was like, "Hey, hold on, like somebody's calling." It was TK, and he was talking to TK. He's like, "Hold on, I gotta go work on something for a little bit." So we stopped what we were doing, and he went to work for like 4 hours. Came back, and he wouldn't tell me what he was working on. He goes, "Just watch Dynamite tonight." And that was the night Ric Flair debuted, and he had to make a Ric Flair theme in 4 hours.
No.
And so he stopped what we were doing working on his podcast, recorded a Ric Flair theme, and then came back and just acted like nothing happened. And I was like, that was fucking cool. But, wrestling.
Well, and I think it's, look, you're either going to like wrestling or you're not going to like wrestling. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just, we are so far past the era of, like, if you are still someone that's like, oh, that's pretend stuff for babies. Like, no.
It's comic books mixed with theater nerds.
If you watch reality TV, if you watch The Bachelor and you make fun of someone that watches wrestling, fuck you.
Yeah. By the way, make sure you watch Survivor and Big Brother. Like those are very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like.
Shout out Eva Marie, who's done both.
Yeah, it's all,
not well, but she's done both.
It's all the same. It's all fantasy. Yeah, Eva Marie. They tried so hard with her, so hard.
And even the one where she had the wardrobe malfunction every week.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like even that, people were like, "Get her off my screen."
But it's just like, get over it, Like, and we as wrestling fans, we occasionally have to put up with the stuff that we're like,
yeah.
I will say that post McMahon, WWE still is getting better.
Yes.
Like there's some long-term storytelling. You can actually see things happening. I like to fantasy book in my head every once in a while. My current fantasy booking for WWE is that in the whole Bloodline saga that they make Jacob Fatu the Mad King.
Oh,
he takes the whatever. He becomes the whatever that thing's called that they wear.
The necklace thing.
The one that looks like chilies for my chili, but they give.
I got that reference.
Like
chilies from Chile.
Yeah, he gets that, and then he's the tribal chief, but he's the mad tribal chief, and they have to acknowledge him in all of his craziness. So he's like the Mad King.
I like that.
I think that would be a great storyline for them.
I just like. I can appreciate. I love Jacob Fatu. Like, dude, like his matches on the Indies are just great. Like, I love his personality. Like the way he, like his just like his physicality and stuff like that. And his facial expressions are just fucking great. Like you just immediately you get his character. You know what I mean? Like just as soon as he does every little thing, is just like ferocious, basically. Yeah. Very good intent to everything he does, and it just comes across like I hate to say it, but like they introduced so many people new to the bloodline, and like he's the only one that really people are like, oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and then Solo. I mean, I like Solo, but he's still kind of green. And no offense to him, but like that main event with Cody was rough. Like it showed.
It was, and I think ultimately the problem with the bloodline and that whole situation is you've brought in all these Samoans.
Yes.
And when like eventually this storyline ends.
Yes.
And then you've just got, pardon the pun, but a bunch of wild Samoans out there. Just like, all right, what's our direction now? Like, I mean, because I mean, we're now dealing with, you're managing Jimmy J, Roman, throw in The Rock. You've got Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa. There's a rumor of another one coming in. I can't remember. Is it another Fatu, I think?
I don't know. Then, like, if they ever wanted to, they could throw in Naomi in there.
They could throw Naomi in there. Like, I mean, you've got like 9.
Tamina.
You've got 9 Samoans.
Yeah, no, Tamina's not. Yeah, she's distant.
Yeah.
Not Nyla Rose. Nia Jax.
Yeah, Nia Jax. You've got like 9 or 10 Samoans just running around.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, what are their allegiances going to be? Are we just going to forget about this?
They're just the McNamara family from Days of Our Lives, like the overarching villain family throughout all the decades.
Yeah.
It's just that. And also, it's like Roman's babyface now.
Yeah.
He spent 4 years destroying all the other baby faces, and now it's like, hey, guys, I need to make a team. And all the other people are going to be like, you can go fuck yourself.
Well, that, you know,
it's like,
they did talk about if they do war games that they were like going to bring in this other Samoan. And I was like, no, it's Sami Zayn. Yeah. It's Roman, Jimmy J, and Sami Zayn.
Yep.
That's all it is.
That would work.
It needs to be Sami Zayn because that's, you know, the...
We're just turning Bloodline into NWO white and red.
Yeah.
Black and white and then red.
But...
We're just having 2 separate bloodlines.
It's just... they've got to manage it well.
Yeah.
But I just wonder what the future is outside of that. Because, there's a lot... Boy, getting deep into WWE stuff, like, I think they, unfortunately, it was during the Bloodline saga, dropped the ball with LA Knight.
Yeah.
So hard. But what was he going to do?
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, they dropped the ball with a lot of people during the Bloodline saga.
Because
like Kevin Owens.
Because they were kind of handcuffed to Roman, you know? They were handcuffed to Roman and Cody. And now you kind of find Cody, Bash at Berlin, you've got, which will be over by this time this comes out probably. Definitely. You got Cody versus Kevin Owens, and you're like, okay.
Everybody's just basically waiting for Cody versus Orton. Orton to turn. We know it's coming. Orton's going to turn on Cody at some point, probably.
But even then, it's still like, okay, Cody.
But at the same time, it's like the mentor versus mentoree kind of thing. Like, they have that whole connection. Like, and I know Orton said recently, like, before Cena retires, he wants one more go with him. Like, one more match with Cena.
Yeah.
On his, like, retirement tour. Like, I don't know. Like...
I just see the glut in the rosters, and they already don't see guys enough. And, you hear that they're going to be adding Penta El Zero and Ray Phoenix, and you're just like...
Wow, the LWOs will get bigger.
Like, yeah. Like, can Triple H book luchas better than Vince? Probably not at this point, no. It's weird because it's like feast or famine in... in wrestling because I really like factions.
Yeah.
But I don't think there has to be 90 factions.
I like
everything is a faction now.
I like factions because it for me, it makes storylines easier to write or just easier to be like, okay, well, I can have feuds going like that side village. Like, you don't want Bryan Danielson and Swerve to line up right away. Put him with Yuta. Put him with his faction people. You're rebuilding it up. I do feel... This sounds weird because I know AEW has a shitload of titles.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does the women's division not have a tag title? If the women's division doesn't have a tag title, why does women's divisions have factions? If a women's division with a faction like the Outcasts, Mariah Mantoni, if they don't have a title to go for, why do they exist? You have nothing to tell the audience that they are fighting for something.
This is less of a concern in AEW than it is for WWE.
Yeah.
Because my problem with WWE when it comes to women, like, I will watch an AEW's women's match because they let them go.
Yes.
There's some disconnect between NXT and the main roster where they make the women tamp it down. And it's just like, why aren't you letting them go?
Yeah.
Like, on a pay-per-view they might, but you're not getting that weekly, like, just balls out. I don't know, for women, balls out doesn't work, but like, you're not getting that.
Flaps out.
Yeah, flaps out. You're not getting that on the WWE women's side.
Yeah.
Whereas you will get a banger from, Ilya Dragunov and whatever.
Yeah.
But the women don't get to do that. And it's just such a shame.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to, I just admiring your Jon Stewart up there.
Oh, yeah.
My third favorite Lantern.
Behind Kyle?
Yeah.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. No.
Behind Guy Gardner, bro. Hey, Nathan Fillion's going to be a great Guy Gardner.
That's true.
Look.
I will say, I completely forgot what display was behind me for a second. I was like, I have a Jon Stewart from The Daily Show. I was thinking, I have a, because I know I have a John Oliver Funko Pop over there. I was like, what Daily Show shit do I have? I was like, that was where my mind went.
Okay.
And then I forgot there was DC.
So I'm gonna get controversial here for a second.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
It's 2024.
Yeah.
We know that wrestling is predetermined.
Yes.
We accept that a Rey Mysterio can beat a Big Show.
True. Facts.
It is okay for men to get physical with women.
Agreed.
Like, why do
I love intergender matches.
Why do women get to go hit the men, but then the men can't retaliate?
Yeah.
And this is not like a, oh my God, they're taking my male rights away. It's just, it makes these stories inert. And I've saw some predictions of people saying that Damian Priest is going to do something to live. And good.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying it needs to be overt, like, abusive stuff.
Yeah.
But to say that they can't compete is like, are you telling me that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins couldn't put on a great match?
An intergender tag match would be cool, or tag title would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or tag tournament or something like that. They have the speed title, for God's sake.
But I mean, like, when they do this stuff like, whoa, well, I can't hit that woman, but she can sure as hell kick me in the balls and do whatever else.
Like I'm a big Gargano guy. I love those teams. One of my favorite figures I brought. I don't know if you're a wrestler or a action figure guy. There's a guy named Shartimus Prime, who's a big YouTuber who does action figure reviews. I just did a podcast with him on Skype.
Yeah,
and I was showing him like wrestling crossovers, and I was like, "That's one of the coolest figures."
Oh,
it's Wolverine.
Yeah, nice.
And like Gargano's famous for having a lot of different crossovers with Marvel, and I was like, we were talking about how, like, this is technically a Mattel figure, but it has a Marvel-ish look. So it's Mattel getting around not having the license. And it's like, it's kind of a way for them to sell figures like this and
they couldn't use the other Rabid Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, true. The funniest bit of trivia.
While we're at it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Our Lady Peace.
No, I mean, come on. WWE, find someone else to make your goddamn theme song.
Yes.
American Made or whatever the creeds are now, they debuted, and I was like, this sounds like public domain, like, what, like, this is the worst.
Yeah.
Now, I also know, like, it is a sad reality. Now, and I say this to maybe you who didn't maybe watch it or whatever originally. It is a sad reality that people do not get to go watch the original ECW with the actual music. Because that, when Enter Sandman hit, when Walk by Pantera hit, when any of that stuff hit.
The closest we got was
Perfect
on, like,
Strangers with Shane Douglas. For whatever you want to think about Shane Douglas, when Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple hit, it was perfect for him. And it's just like when Orange Cassidy comes out, either to Jane or if he's being serious, it's Where Is My Mind? Yeah, by the Pixies. And I like, because you're like, oh, he means business tonight.
I will say, when AEW came to Tulsa this year, the main event had RVD.
Yeah.
Or it was the main event. It's him and Swerve, right? I think it was. I don't know if you were at that.
There was a multiple. Yeah, it was a multi-man match. Yeah.
But RVD comes out to Walk, and that was fucking cool to experience and be okay. even though it wasn't sold out, but it was still cool to have RVD come out to fucking walk. That was an experience.
Well,
and also,
Tulsa's the markiest of mark crowds.
Yeah.
I mean, Tulsa is the crowd where I would always just laugh because anytime I went to a WWE event here, it was the most like pro John Cena whatever crowd. Because this is I'm going to take an umbrage. This is a classic Gettin Greasy bit. I'm going to take an umbrage moment for you.
Just for reference, I've been to a Raw and a SmackDown here and an NXT in Tulsa.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't been to the NXT here.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite of all three.
Well, because that's not going to be Marks.
Yep.
Well, it's Marks, but it's not like
it was
kids.
wrestling Marks.
It's not kids. That's my beef. The thing I'm taking umbrage with is people talk about how great these crowds are in Scotland and France and Tokyo, wherever,
Yeah. Thanks, Joe Henry.
Yeah, I know.
America, Scotland.
yeah. It's what a phenomenon. But
I'm more of a fan of his song "Edge's Bitch."
Yes.
That one's great.
Yeah. Take that, Matt Cardona.
Yeah.
But
scratch that figure itch, bitch.
Yes. Turns out the crowd in France is way better. You know why? When you look at the crowd in France, it is nothing but dudes who are wrestling fans. It is not 25, 30, 40% children.
Yeah.
Well, no shit, they're louder. And no crap, they can like sing their songs together and stuff. Like, stop saying that these foreign audiences are so much better.
I will also say,
they're just different.
And they're a thing to having less is more, because like they are so starved for it. Like WWE will go there once a year, and it's usually not a big event. So when they do a big event, it's like a once in a big time kind of thing. So like, of course you're gonna get the rabid people there for this big thing that they've never seen there in a long time.
But when you go to an event in Tulsa and 30% of the crowd is like, yay, today, our truth. It's like, all right, you're not going to have as great of an experience, you know? Like, it's still a good crowd.
Yeah.
But it's not that foreign crowd that's going to be so predominantly there for hardcore wrestling.
Yeah.
So. Well, we've had a great podcast about wrestling.
So far.
Yeah.
I will say my favorite moment, it's like SmackDown. I was at the last SmackDown that CM Punk was at, and it'd be okay where he shit his pants.
Yeah.
He was fighting Ambrose.
Yeah.
And he had the flu. I have his autograph up there from they were selling it in the stands. I was like, I like to imagine that day he had to sign all 500 of those while he had the flu. And then he shit his pants in the ring. And I'm like, that's my memento.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I have one for Finn Balor when they did NXT. This was around the time that him and Samoa Joe were kind of like the main event at NXT.
Correction, Samoa Joseph.
Samoa Joseph, yes.
Yeah, you gotta call it.
Yes. It was at
or if you're a Girl Scout fan, Samosa Joseph.
Ooh, clever.
Not part of the bloodline.
Clever girl. Oh. No, one of his main event that he did was Great Balls of Fire at WWE.
Yeah.
That was a great name for a pay-per-view event.
Oh, I went to a fast lane in Dallas.
Shit.
In Dallas, I think.
Oh, say it slow.
Yeah.
Say it slow.
Yeah.
Fast lane.
Yeah, fast lane.
Just like a Reese's fast break.
It was something.
Yeah. Anyway, the NXT show was great. It was at like the Tulsa Pavilion Center or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like they had the gated off concession stands over there where they were using it for like the green room for like the wrestlers and stuff. And I could look through the crowd, like the gates, and I just saw Finn Balor and Samoa Joe sitting there at a table together eating salad. And they were the main event.
No, wait, that was at the Civic Center.
Civic
right?
Center, yeah,
Okay.
Civic Center. Okay, it was one of those little pavilions.
Well, but see, that's kind of what I kind of was hoping. I was hoping that AEW would really play into those roots and go do the pavilion at the Expo Square.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like a more tight-knit.
Back where Mid-South used to do all their stuff, right? I mean, I have friends that back when the Freebirds and all them were going, and he was like, yeah, we had to go hide because there was riots afterwards when like the Freebirds won or beat the Von Erichs.
Have you watched Collision lately? Like they've been doing that. They've had like a residency in Texas at Arlington at the what's it called, the Games Arena or something like that?
No, I haven't. No.
It's basically the big like MLG, like the Major League Gaming arena.
Okay.
They had a residency over like the last like 4 weeks where every Collision was just taped there, and it looks fucking cool. It's
their version of Full Sail or whatever.
Yeah. And it's more close knit, but it gave it a different atmosphere. They gave Collision a new theme. They completely rebranded Collision. And,
I heard the Collision new theme was basically because it cost a lot of money.
Yeah, which I will pull this up because I just find this.
Are they going to give Final Countdown to Daniel Bryan?
I mean, it's the name of the pay-per-view now, or the match. It says the Final Countdown is the name of the match.
Well, they're going to have to then. Tony's going to have to drop the. Maybe he negotiated a better fee. You know, you think if he's working with Warner Brothers or something.
Did you ever watch the last? What was it? The match where they fight in the crowd. What's it called? The
Stadium Stampede.
Or whatever.
Whatever.
The last one was like the Young Bucks and all them versus and. They have a fight with the PA system, and like it keeps playing Darby Allin's entrance theme for a while, and the Young Bucks are like, "Turn that shit off and play the best new banger out there, our new entrance theme," and it's the one that kind of sounds like Succession.
Yeah,
and that's playing for a while, and then Bryan Danielson gets the mic and goes, "Turn that shit off, let's play the best fucking wrestling theme ever," and Final Countdown starts blaring through the arena as they're fighting through the crowd, and then the whole crowd singing along with it and everything. And then, like, a minute and a half right before it gets to the guitar solo, Matt Jackson grabs the mic again. He goes, "Cut that shit off. This costs us like $2,000 every 5 minutes. What do you think? We're made of money?"
Yeah.
And it's all during the main event match. And I'm like, this is gold.
Well, yes, you are, Tony Khan.
Yeah.
You are made of money.
Bring it back to music. The highlight of that NXT show was afterwards. It was, it's just a live show. It wasn't made for TV or anything like that.
Yeah.
Main event was Finn Balor versus Samoa Joseph, And at the end of it, to give the crowd, a good time, Finn got on top of the turnbuckle and started singing as Garth Brooks. He sang "Friends in Low Places" in a big Irish accent, and it was the funniest fucking thing.
And I toasted you, said, "Honey, I may be true, but you'll never hear me complain, 'cause I got friends in low places where whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. And I'll be okay. Yeah, I'm not big on social graces. Do not slip on now to the always. Oh, I got friends.
And it was just like low places. Like, it was hilarious.
The thing is, they love that shit.
Yeah.
Though, so good for them.
I got to see Andrade before he debuted. He was doing dark matches on that show, and like he was testing out, like ripping off the clothes, and he still had the suspenders and stuff. He was Andrade Cien Almas back then. Still, Saul, what's his name? Missed opportunity. No Way Jose.
Oh,
Fucking No Way Jose had the crowd going with him, and they never really did shit with him.
Yeah,
it was a one-dimensional character.
Yeah, there's sometimes that stuff doesn't translate.
Yeah.
So
Adam Rose.
Yeah, and Adam Rose, weird. Not
unusual.
I gotta tread lightly because, like, he actually has like developmental challenges.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I mean, he's like he came out later. Like he's like and he.
Were they doing like a real life Eugene Dinsmore?
Pretty much.
Oh fuck!
Like
Jesus Christ, Vince!
Like
I thought you learned your lesson with Eugene, and then you have a real one.
Being accompanied by William Regal.
Oh boy!
From Louisville, Kentucky, weighing in at 242 pounds, Eugene.
That was pretty much what was going on with him. So.
Bring up Eugene. Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to make him look special? Just turn his jacket inside out. That's how we make him special, and he can't comb his hair. Like early 2000 wrestling. It's ruthless aggression.
It's something. It is something. Yeah. So you
Meat was the name of a wrestler too.
Yes.
With PMS and all that stuff back then.
Yeah.
Wasn't Meat just one of the moshers? Wasn't it Mosh? Or wasn't it Chaz? What is his name? Chaz or something like that? It was one of the headbangers, I thought.
Chaz became Beaver Cleavage.
Cleavage.
Yeah.
Beaver Cleavage.
Yeah.
And I thought it was Meat. PMS or Terry Reynolds got Meat afterwards.
Yeah.
Speaking of Meat, make sure to subscribe to Unloading Meat right now.
Do it. Subscribe.
Yeah.
I'm unloading the meat. Unloading the meat. I'm unloading the meat.
This episode of Unloading Meat is not brought to you by a therapy app like BetterHelp, even though if you've checked my recent social media, you'd probably say I probably need an app like BetterHelp. So, if you want this fat ass to get into therapy again, reach out to your favorite sponsors. Tell them to hit me up. I'm a 2-time survivor of suicide. Some would say a failure. Don't make me go for the hat trick. Get me sponsored.
I'm unloading the meat. Unloading the meat. I'm unloading the meat.
So you said you're a Marvel guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit. I got Deadpool here. I got my favorite X-Man is Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
I'm a big Nightcrawler guy.
Have you noticed and by this I mean two, there's lots of wrestlers that have Green Lantern tattoos.
Yeah, Shane Helms and who's
Josh Briggs has a big like bright one on his shoulder, and Green Lantern's like my favorite.
Oh, really?
Superhero. Because I'm like, he can beat Superman. He just creates kryptonite. There you go.
The
Done.
best part of that, Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds was the scene in Deadpool 2 when he shoots
Yeah.
himself
Yeah.
over the script.
Well, I could have probably told Hollywood, don't make your bad guy an amorphous cloud.
It looks like a giant poop monster.
Yeah, like
Did we not learn anything from Dogma?
you have Sinestro right there. Just,
I know, and it's Mark Strong. You cast a perfect Sinestro, in my opinion. He was great.
Yeah, it's just like
Even the CGI on him, I was like, I can. It looked presentable.
it's like they went and gave that script to the nerdiest of nerds and was like, "What? Do the parallel? No, just give green versus yellow." It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like, don't go too much further than that.
Well,
that could have been your Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But you screwed it up. Like,
speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, like could have been theirs. Did you see Borderlands yet?
no, but apparently no one else has either.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
I'm a big Bobby Lee guy. I was really hoping that was to be like a good thing for him because like it's his first movie in a while. Like he's really getting on a poster and a trailer and stuff.
Yeah, it was like 4 million and 100 and I don't know. Yeah, it was like the big on track to be the biggest flop ever.
They wanted it to be like a Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's like, ugh.
Well, I
honestly feel like people are kind of burnt out on Kevin Hart.
I honestly feel like even if you like to play Borderlands, you've missed the mark by 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Borderlands was hot in the streets
like 10 years ago, maybe.
So, yeah, like I remember kids playing.
Handsome Jack Collection was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, like even like pre-pandemic, like my students were already onto Fortnite, and they'd already gone through the Borderlands phase. So, and I mean, it's almost like, heaven forbid, you do an original, an original IP, but it's like you could have taken the story and made an original IP out of it. And I think the video game thing turns a lot of people off.
It does.
I think it worked
for video game adaptation. You're like, oh.
I think it worked for Fallout because it's not a movie that you go see.
Yep.
And that's different.
Yeah.
Right. I can go.
Fallout was a great one.
Yeah, I can go watch that on my streaming service. I'm not having to go pay a ticket.
Same with Last of Us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Fallout, the atmosphere, the whole everything they have about that Fallout universe is very already like, this is very cinematic.
Yeah.
Same way with like Last of Us. I love those games. They're phenomenal. I love the HBO series. But that first game is literally, you're basically playing through a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's already so cinematic. Like, you're following these characters. It's so well written, so well acted, and it's all mocapped that, like, all they really had to do was just make it in live action. You know what I mean? Like 90% of the job is already there, in my opinion. Like you have a good bones to already show us. But they did expand upon a lot of it.
Yeah.
And change some things that were better. Like, I don't know if you watched it or not.
No, it's not necessarily my jam. I mean, I used to go watch pretty much every Marvel movie that would come out.
Yeah.
But then when I went and watched Doctor Strange, it just, and this is on, it's nothing about the movie being bad. It's nothing about any of that. It's just the environment and the visuals that I watched it in, just like really screwed with my eyes and stuff like that, and made me kind of dizzy and sick, and so it kind of turned me off for a little while. Yeah. I did go and see Wolverine or
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine. And what I appreciated about it was, yes, I knew the references to an extent, but you didn't have to know them.
Yeah.
You didn't really have to. That's where I think that, like, the TV shows or the miniseries are a lot better if you don't have to know.
Yeah.
Or if you do need to know, that you can help develop people into that. With the movies, these tent poles, it's like, how many people know what Secret Wars is?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many people can just go into that blind without having to do some research and just enjoy the movie?
But at the same time, we're kind of getting those generations of like, Secret Wars was what, 80s, late 70s, early 80s and stuff like that. We're getting those people like, that generation. I mean, it's just like, that's the generation that's kind of going to be consuming all this stuff. And so like, there are going to be things that like, at least they know that that's like in a lexicon of like pop culture. Like I know there's Secret Wars means something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They are doing great baby steps. Like, I don't know if you watched X-Men 97.
Yes, I think
fantastic.
I think that's great when they have a very consumable way to introduce stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, if you drop someone into a multiverse movie that doesn't know anything about it,
yeah,
it's like, what the hell are they going to do?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people started just seeing these movies just to see them.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of
Quantumania was one of those.
Yeah.
Like, where I was like, ugh.
Now it's kind of past it, or like people are like, nah, I don't really need to see that.
Well, then also I will say this: like, I'm a Star Wars guy, but like, I love the Mandalorian. I liked it. I'm happy that they're making a movie, Mandalorian Grogu or whatever they announced it. That's going to basically continue all that or finalize everything. But they made that. I mean, are you familiar with like the volume, the thing they shoot in that makes basically the big all CGI or the big?
Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar.
Okay, so like they have a thing that they work on called the volume, which is like a gigantic screen that goes all the way around this room, and they can just put up in real time visuals. And so it's like, instead of doing green screen or blue screen, you can just have a 3D world that goes on forever and just put whatever you want behind the actors. And so like a lot of the times you could, once you know what they're using to kind of do the shots, it makes all the environments just kind of feel empty and hollow. Like, cause it's like, okay, it's just the actors and this rock in the forefront. That's the only thing that's real in this shot. Everything else is just a big screen behind them. And once you start realizing that a lot of these directors haven't got used to using that in a smart way, they're just using it because they have to. Like, there's some scenes where, like, they're just walking in a gigantic, open, empty room, and it kind of just doesn't give you the suspense of disbelief that, like, they're actually there. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I can just tell that they're just in an empty room right now.
Yeah.
It takes me out of the moments.
You know,
there's nothing tangible.
I liked Rogue One quite a bit, but I liked it because I watched it as a Vietnam movie.
Yeah.
Because the way they had, you know, the X-Wings and stuff flying, that was cool. It was like Huey's flying in during, you know, and I kind of enjoyed. I kind of enjoy it when these franchises kind of view their movies as, all right, this is going to be this type of genre piece,
like a different lens.
We're going to do a noir of this, or we're going to do a, you know, this is going to be like a Vietnam movie or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it just.
Did you watch Andor on Disney Plus?
I did not. No.
Probably the best Star Wars series they've put out, even including Mandalorian and everything. Like it's a prequel to Rogue One. And it's a old school kind of spy thriller, like whodunit mystery kind of shit with like espionage and stuff like that in Star Wars.
In Star Wars,
and it's really good. Stellan Skarsgård's in it as one of the main guys, and it's really cool. It's like almost like James Bondish spy, futuristic spy, but in the Star Wars universe. And
I think when these, you know, I kind of feel like the next Captain America is going to be in that vein of. I kind of want to say a. Jack Ryan type, like kind of.
That's kind of how they've all done all the Captain America movies have always been kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Winter Soldier was like that.
Yeah, it is just kind of weird to think about this universe where you have like your ground level bosses, you know, like Jesus, why am I forgetting it? Kingpin,
yeah.
But then you're also like, but also there's Galactus who could just. Like, your life is ultimately meaning. Like, imagine if we had that realization that, like, ultimately there's this giant space monster that will come and destroy.
Well, like,
us.
did you watch Eternals?
No, I didn't.
It's a piece of shit. It's almost 3 hours and like it's not great. But at the same time, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, a giant, basically celestial, gets like born on part of the Earth.
Yeah. And
its like head is just like sitting in the fucking Asian Ocean in the Marvel Universe now. It's just there. This gigantic like galactic-sized head. And they've never referenced it in any other MCU movie or anything.
It's just there.
But apparently in Captain America, the new one, they're going to be like, oh, people want to mine that thing. We need those resources. And that's going to be something about this. And, like, they're going to reference it. But I'm like, that would have, like, massive effects on our Earth.
Oh yeah, like massive effects on our Earth and massive effects on our existence.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna watch Eternals. That's the one with, isn't Kumail in that one?
Yes.
And he got all buff, so screw him. Stay fat, fatty. Like, or at least dad body. So
because that movie was basically they were gonna birth a celestial out of the core of the Earth. Like basically they were gonna use us as like basically the womb to birth a celestial, and it started and they stopped it, and so now it's just there. And the rumor is that might be where our MCU is getting vibranium.
okay.
Yeah, allegedly.
Well,
and Red Hulk.
and Red Hulk and everything else.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's going to be
just give me back White Vision, okay? Just like he was in WandaVision, he was fantastic. I want to see what happens.
It's going to be Han Solo is going to be Red Hulk.
Yep.
So
because the other guy died.
Indiana Jones, Han Solo, Red Hulk.
William Hurt died.
Yeah, like I don't know.
They take so long to get to these projects, and they cast these actors that just pass away. It's like the Dumbledore thing again.
Yeah, it's like, and that's fine. I mean, whatever. But heaven forbid, And
then they recast him and made him gay. No, yes, Queen.
They should have had a super gay Wolverine in Deadpool. No, that was a fun movie though. I enjoyed that quite a bit, but.
I liked the Elektra being in there, and then like they made a little Daredevil quip, like Ben Affleck kind of shit. Because, like little things like that were like that's smart writing a little bit.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with, recasting or having.
I love the montage in the beginning with all like the different variations of Wolverine. Like, oh, you want short Wolverine? This is what it looked like.
Yeah, which is apparently a real actor.
Really?
Yes, that's that's not CGI.
Wow, they just face swapped.
And well, no.
Oh.
No, he looks like that. If you look at it, like they had a far away kind of shot of him. If you see the real actor that played him, the best I saw was someone said he looks like a cross between Hugh Jackman and Tom Holland. But he's a mini Wolverine. But those like I went, and yes, granted, I went in the middle of the week at a matinee, but it was me, my friend, and like 2 other people.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know how much longer they can keep up with these giant, big budget. And for me, I would much rather have. I know people hate part 2s, but give me 90 minutes in a part 2.
Agreed. I would like that, but see where I mean. But at the same time, like these MCU movies, these tentpole movies. Are kind of the things that are keeping the theaters alive.
That's true.
Especially post-strike, post-COVID.
But I'm still but you're going to get as many people to go watch that 90-minute
movie.
Oh,
I agree.
And you're still going to sell the same amount of popcorn. You're still going to sell the same pop.
Yeah.
You're still going to sell all that stuff.
As a consumer, I agree with you. I'm just like playing devil's advocate of like, in my mind, their mentality is like, it has to be this big tentpole experience, like this thing where it's like we have to draw them in here and make the biggest thing we can. And it's like you don't always have to, but like they're worried if we don't, they're not going to have the budget.
Yeah, I just think I think that rang true for a while, but I just don't. I don't know that it's still there.
Like if you would have gave another $200 million to marketing, would Borderlands have a better box office? I don't think so because the script sucked.
No,
like, I don't. The movie apparently.
I just don't think it appeals to anybody.
No, and it's too late. Bad timing. It's just.
I don't know what game you could adapt that's going to, anytime that you put that video game moniker on there, I think it's going to be difficult. But a lot of times there's stuff that works and doesn't work. I remember seeing that I play video games, but I play the most basic of video games.
Okay, what do you play?
I play a shit ton of Battlefield.
Okay.
And I play Battlefield because I like to fly airplanes and drive tanks. And that's why I don't play Modern Warfare.
I played Bad Company 2, or what was it? Bad Company 2. I love that. That was early back on the PC where I had like huge maps and huge players.
Oh, the best.
Bad Company 2 was great.
Best Battlefield game ever, which they will not remake, was Battlefield Vietnam, because you basically got to fly F4 Phantoms and drop napalm and just.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
but it's. Yeah, you're killing Vietnamese people, right? But
we can't show that shit even in modern cinema anymore. The closest we get is basically like King Kong movies.
Yeah,
it's like
and
Godzilla movies.
I grew up with Full Metal Jacket and Platoon and all those things, but
we're gonna offend somebody in this age.
But they were like, oh, Battlefield 2049 or whatever came out and it flopped. It's like, yeah, none of us want, if we're playing Battlefield, your futuristic bullshit.
Yep.
We want to fly World War II airplanes, drive World War II tanks. That's it.
I played Call of Duty for a long time, and then when it got to Advanced Warfare, because they're trying to compete with Titanfall, I was like, I'm out. I don't like this futuristic mech shit. I'm just like running up the walls and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm out.
It's like
It's not a shooter anymore. And then like, I play Fortnite right now. I play no build or zero build because it's, I can shoot somebody and not have to worry about a whole giant maze jumping up on, I got a castle now. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to keep shooting you now. Because like zero build, they give you an overshield kind of like Halo.
Yeah.
And it's just running around shooting. It's fun.
Yeah. And that's, I saw that they're coming out with their first Star Wars open world game. That could be fun.
Dr. Doom just took over the island as of Sunday, and it has a Marvel crossover right now, and it's fucking phenomenal.
Okay, cool.
Like Dr. Doom killed Magneto. He killed the Fantastic Four, or at least, okay, I got to show you the picture.
How does Dr. Doom kill Magneto? Can't Magneto just crush his face?
So in the Fortnite lore, the story is like Magneto. Yeah, there's a whole story lore.
In the Fortnite lore.
There's entire YouTube series about the
What
Fortnite
Earth
lore.
is that?
Okay. It's its own special island, and I think there actually is an Earth designated to it.
Okay.
Because like 4 years ago, Galactus invaded, and they had a Marvel.
Yeah, I remember. I played that one.
That was great.
Yeah. I played the Thanos one, I think, too. Yeah.
And so last season, Magneto was on the island, and like 2 seasons ago, there was like a Greek gods kind of season. So in the Fortnite lore, Pandora's box is a thing. Well, at the end of the season on Saturday or Sunday, Dr. Doom opened up Pandora's box, took all the power in, and became like a god, and took over the island. He warped in parts of Latveria. You have his whole castle. You have like a city of Latveria in there. He warped in the Raft prison and busted out Emma Frost, that Mysterio, a version of Sabretooth, and a whole bunch of other people, and basically just took over the island, and he's the boss. And let me show you what he did to the Fantastic Four, because it's the most morbid fucking thing you'll ever see. This is his throne.
Okay.
That's the thing.
That's the thing, yeah.
That's Sue. Here's Johnny and Reed. Johnny's heart is his fireplace, and Reed is a stuffed ball as a trophy display.
Nice.
Like, he's going hard, and like you can play as War Machine's weapons. You can like all of the Marvel stuff's there. Captain America's shield's in it. It's really fun right now.
They did such a good job of keeping that game fresh.
Yeah.
And different modes or whatever. Like I do still feel like I could pick it up, even though it's been a couple years since I played, and still have a decent time with it.
Also, the crossover character of Peel Vereen is the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's a giant, Peel, the giant banana.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of him with Wolverine.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I remember just when I was playing it quite a bit, they're like, my kids were like, Dr. DeVore, you play Fortnite? And it's like, yeah. I mean, it's pretty mindless and fun.
That's what I do. It's a way to just space out, just chill out.
Yeah, I mean, like I just, that's what I've, I need that every once in a while. And I feel like some of those games try to get too complex. I just like a good shooter that doesn't get overly complex.
Apex Legends was all right for a while, and then it got too complex.
But I mean, one of the best things is just this, like, if you can land an airplane, or if you can get an airplane in Battlefield and just space out and fly that thing and just do some bombing runs and just have a good time.
Yeah, like last season's Fortnite, I mean, I hate to keep bringing up Fortnite, but last season was basically like their Mad Max kind of season. And so everything was about car warfare, and like you would drive over stuff, and it was basically like Twisted Metal. You just pick up cars, get bulletproof tires, get weapons, get turrets.
Speaking of Samoa Joseph.
Yeah. Oh, he's great in that show.
He's great.
They're filming season 2 right now, apparently.
Yeah, that's why he's written off TV.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hook. But
cold-hearted or whatever it's called.
With one eye now.
Yeah.
God. The fucking eye patch. And then, Shibata with him. But Shibata and the text messaging is hilarious.
Okay, so the problem with Shibata is I always want to call him Shibata. And I'm like, you sound too much like a bread, bro. Like, change your name. I get it, but it just sounds like ciabatta bread. Like,
well, it's like every time I heard Shinsuke Nakamura, I always thought about Nakatomi Tower.
Nakatomi Tower
and fucking Die Hard.
Yes. Oh yeah.
White people, we're great, right?
Yeah.
Asian names confuse us.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. But there's other names. That,
Yeah. Well, it's like one of my favorite places to eat here in Bartlesville is Szechuan. It's a long-standing Chinese place.
Yeah.
And the main lady's name is Kim. I do not think that's her real name. I'm pretty sure it's not. But to everybody here, she goes, I am Kim. It's just easier to get across.
I mean, we can accept,
I know her.
Yeah. It's
not her real name.
Yeah. It's like the thing of people like, you can't be a wrestling fan that's not willing to accept people going by a new name, and then because you're in a business that people go by new names all the time.
What's up, Team 3D?
Yeah, I mean, look, if anything, my expertise is on four things: cartoons, but especially King of the Hill.
Ooh.
My favorite, just subtle King of the Hill joke was, and I know this is going to sound cliche because of who I am, but it's the episode where Drew Carey's the guest and plays Hal, and
they're basically like twins. Basically,
they're they're best buds, and Peggy goes, "Are you going to see him again?" And he goes, I don't know, just a one-time thing with a guy in a parking lot. And I'm like, oh, that is such a subtle gay sex joke that you guys just made right there.
Yep.
But yeah, pro wrestling, Trailer Park Boys, and my dissertation's in animation. So it's so crazy that the carryover in wrestling and people that just, if you can't love something like that, what the hell do you love?
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's your reality TV shows for you, love it. Have fun with it. Don't expect me to watch it.
Yeah.
Not gonna. I'll watch The Traders. Love The Traders. Don't know if you've ever seen that, but Alan Cummings is in it. And, he plays the host. It's
Nightcrawler.
they pick 3 people to be the traders, and they murder off people. It's like a murder mystery thing.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. It's based off of a British show, obviously, and then there's a Australian version and stuff like that. But there's fun things like that. I love cooking shows and stuff like that. But like, if you can't find that joy, whether or not it's comedy, whether or not it's something stupid or whatever, we didn't talk much about comedy at all. We can save that for another day. Something I've been watching recently, if I throw out a recommendation, Batman Cape Crusader on Prime. Yeah.
It's like a reimagining, right?
Yes, completely. Like, I mean, he's still Bruce Wayne, he's still Batman. But there's different takes on characters. And I think they're purposefully not introducing a Joker.
Okay.
But it's got the aesthetic of Batman the Animated Series, but updated. So it's still set in that like 1940s-ish type look. But yeah, reimagining of characters and stuff like that. And it's been really enjoyable. So to see some of their takes on things and how they're dealing with Harvey Dent and Barbara Gordon and stuff like that. It's just it's a weird, and it's produced by J.J. Abrams.
Nice.
So it's got some gravitas to it.
Lens flare.
Well, it gives me hope that it won't be a one and done season.
Yeah.
Which some of those times are. So I mean,
which Prime's pretty good about getting overall deals with their people, their talent and stuff, and like having them do it multiple things.
And that's my thing. You're a Marvel guy. I love DC characters.
Yeah.
I fully recognize that their movies are not good, but their animated, DC animated is great.
So agreed. I thought throughout the years, the early years of the MCU, DC animated doing their like continuous like Justice League thing was fucking phenomenal. They have all these interconnecting stories. It's on Max. You can watch them. They're great. But I'm a DC guy. Like I love animated series, stuff like that. Batman Beyond. My 2 favorite DC characters are Martian Manhunter and Nightwing.
Oh, nice.
I'm a Nightwing guy because I grew up like the animated series. You see young Robin turn into Nightwing, and like I had that was just right at that time. Yeah. Like that character's cool to me, even with the mullet.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to when I was a kid and I'd watch Nick at Night and just watch old Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, and then of course, fucking shitty theater in Sand Springs is where I watched Batman '89 when it came out, and just. My dad was my dad was like, when he was my dad's born in 60. So when Adam West and all, he was like a kid, right?
Same with my parents.
And so him and his brother would go act out the the original Batman episodes. So when Batman 89 came out, my dad was just like giddy to go see it.
Yeah.
And it was
I have
fantastic.
that stuff over there. Like I have my figures here. Like I have a Batman. I have the Batarang and like the grapple gun replica, some Joker stuff. I have. So like again, I'm a big Nightwing guy. So I have replica of his batons over there.
Well, who is your favorite rogue in the Rogues Gallery?
Ooh. I'm a big Clayface guy.
Okay.
I honestly feel like he never really got his due. Like I loved him in animated series. Like that arc.
Episode 2 of Cape Crusader. You probably like it.
Okay.
Kind of
the whole like
cool
the
take on
actor with like getting his mud in his face and stuff like that in the animated series. That was so dark back in the day, and it's such a good show.
Yeah, this is.
Have you ever watched Harley Quinn, the animated series?
Yes.
I love that, and Clayface on that is fucking
Yes,
amazing.
Clayface.
I love it. It's Alan Tudyk.
Yes,
he plays Joker and Clayface.
Yeah,
and like I'm Clayface.
Yeah, he's. Yeah, he's.
Just actor turned to 11. It's just so funny.
Yeah, he's.
And Ron.
Does he also do Bane?
I don't know who does Bane, but
because Bane's in Kite Man.
Yes,
there's a spinoff Kite Man's out.
And Ron Funches is King Shark.
Yes,
it's hilarious.
Yes,
I love Ron Funches.
Yeah, that whole that series. I was so sad when I finished it. I was like, oh, one more.
Season 5's coming soon. Later this year.
Yeah. I would say
it redeemed Poison Ivy in my opinion. Even like the arc with her and Harley and the love romance stuff like that. I always liked those two characters together, like the comics and stuff. Like, the whole love interest of those two. Like I like that dynamic, and like, they do it very well in that show.
And this is not like too much of a spoily or anything like that. But like Harley Quinn is in the Cape Crusader. I've yet to see her introduced. I'm only like 5 episodes in, but she's just been Bruce Wayne's therapist at this point. And she is Barbara Gordon's friend. And so the whole world is kind of thrown around a little bit. But I thought the Clayface episode, for a minute, I thought that they were doing a take on Falseface from the old Adam West series. So there wasn't a Clayface, there was Falseface.
Okay.
And he was just a master of disguise. But yeah, it was a really good take on it. And I really enjoyed that episode. But yeah, I'm a Riddler guy.
I like Riddler's good.
Riddler, that just again goes back to my Frank Gorshin days.
Yeah,
of just,
Mr. Freeze. I like Mr. Freeze too.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Rogues Gallery. Mad Hatter always pissed me off. Although, I will say it's something that just burned into my brain as a kid. Like you'll probably remember this episode of the animated series. Remember the episode where Mad Hatter has Bruce Wayne under like the hat thing, and he thinks his parents are back alive, and he wasn't Batman.
Yeah.
And the way he figures it out is he reads a book and all the words are jumbled up because they say in there, like, when you're asleep, you're using the left side of your brain as
you can't read in your sleep.
Yeah.
I suspected it from the start. I knew I was right when I tried to read the newspaper. The print didn't make sense. Yes. That's because reading is a function of the right side of the brain, while dreams come from the left side. It's impossible to read something in a dream.
I thought that forever.
Me too! And I was like, oh, it's just bullshit?
Well, apparently it is somewhat true.
It's somewhat true.
It's somewhat true. Like, for some people, it's kind of like when AI tries to make words.
Yeah.
It'll jumble stuff up. But yeah, I thought that forever, that you can't read in your dreams. It's
seared in my brain, that moment. And it's like, you can't convince me otherwise.
I think that, and the other thing from my childhood of cartoons that I've remembered forever is in Freakazoid, when he says, Qui occupé la fromage? Who cut the cheese?
It's time for Frenching with Freakazoid.
Bonjour classe, comment allez-vous? Bon. Et maintenant, les leçons du jour. Qui a coupé le fromage? Je répète. Qui a coupé le fromage? Who cut the cheese? Who cut the cheese? Qui a coupé le fromage? Bon, merci, au revoir.
This has been Frenching with Freakazoid.
That's the only French that I know is Qui a coupé la fromage.
Ed Asner as the police chief or whatever.
Yeah.
Before he, made a sex tape and stuff.
But yeah.
I never thought I would have on my bingo card Ed Asner sex tape, but I mean,
hey, Look, but Freakazoid. Yeah, I didn't think I'd talk about Freakazoid today.
Yeah.
So
That show I think they should bring back. I honestly think they could. I mean, Steven Spielberg was behind it, wasn't it?
yeah,
Because it was the same people that did the Animaniacs.
What isn't he behind these days?
Yeah,
though?
but like his like Amblin or
Yeah.
whatever. Like same people that did Animaniacs. I mean, brought that back, and it's actually pretty good on Hulu. It's not bad.
Yeah, I just always worry that when they bring those things back, they're gonna throw the weird animation on it and try to make it too kooky or whatever. Because the thing that was great about Freakazoid was that my dad could sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we could watch it together. But
it was just relatable enough to have that quirkiness. To
Yeah.
it. So about comedy.
yeah.
Well, Dustin, man, like, how long you been doing comedy? Actually,
Oh, I think the first time I went up on stage was podcasting before then, but like first time I went up on stage and did an open mic was I think 1 or 2 weeks right before the pandemic hit.
oh wow,
Yeah.
great timing.
Yeah, I know.
Similar to Zach, or Zach was around that time too, right?
Zach had been going for a while. He'd probably been in for a year or so at that time. And Sean Singleton, who I don't know if you know Sean or not, he lives in Boston now.
Okay. Know the name.
Yeah, he'll probably be moving back, I think, soon. But they got me. We were doing Gettin Greasy at the time. I did not know Zach or Sean at all. I was dating a comedian at the time, and she introduced me to Sean, who was a fan of Trailer Park Boys, and we got in and we started doing stuff. I mean, I've been a fan of comedy forever. I mean, I go back to being a kid. I had my little 13-inch black and white TV. I stayed up and I watched, my parents didn't give me a bedtime, so I stayed up and I watched Letterman when it was on, when he was after Carson.
I know.
Right?
That's why we get I'm a big Letterman guy.
Yeah. So I would watch Carson, then I'd watch Letterman. Later on in life, it turned into, Conan.
I never got Leno.
Leno
Leno always rubbed me the wrong way.
It was too
grating.
Yeah, it's just too meh. But yeah, I was always a Letterman guy. And then, I watched comedic movies. I remember watching Evening at the Improv in the 80s when I was a kid. The guy that had the monocle, I can't remember his name, but like the host, he wore a monocle. I just remember that. And just watching comedians, and my dad was always really big into stand-up, and we watched, my dad's tastes are a little bit more rudimentary. Like, my dad loved Gallagher.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with
No,
Gallagher.
nothing.
But, like, kind of the Jeff Dunham of a day.
Before smartphones, he was our fruit ninja. Okay.
Yes. And so we, I grew up with comedy forever. Always kind of wanted to do some stuff.
If you had to pick inspirations or like basically like comics, like top 3 comics, like basically your, I don't want to say style, but like people like you can really say like those are my comics, like I would gel with, or like
Dave Attell.
That's my goat.
Dave Attell is to me the goat.
Agreed.
He is so quick. He can say things so well. And I remember watching him back on his Insomniac days and all that stuff. And then he got sober and it's completely different.
Yep. But it's still good.
Yeah, still good. I mean, and I'm not going to put this is not like in my top 3 or whatever, but I remember seeing Dane Cook before Dane Cook got big.
Before Employee of the Month.
I saw him at the ballroom at TU, which was just, he was on the college circuit, basically. Not knowing what the college circuit was at that time. He was on the college circuit, and he was great. Like, and then some of the jokes he did got on his album that kind of got big, and then he kind of took off an album after that. I mean, I really do like people like John Mulaney and stuff like that. I mean, it comes down to Dave Attell being I'm maybe a little bit more show oriented in that Mr. Show was a huge influence for me.
Bob Odenkirk.
I love Mr. Show. Like, I have a friend that he and I can basically just communicate in only Mr. Show quotes.
David Cross, right? Yeah.
Yeah, David Cross, Bob Odenkirk, Tom Kenny, Sarah Silverman, Jack Black was on at certain points. Lots of guys.
Speaking of Jack Black, I mean, even mentioning, Borderlands again, like sad that like the movie that he was getting ready to promote at the time, that the whole Kyle Gass thing happened with the Trump comment, was fucking Borderlands. Like that's what ruined it. We can't make sure we don't ruin the PR for Borderlands.
Yeah, and the thing, thing about Mr. Show for me is like, I love Jay Johnston, but he also stormed the Capitol. It's like, oh God, okay. Like I kind of like a dry delivery, quite a bit. I think that comedians got to find their lane.
Yeah.
Like Zach, I love Zach. Zach's a joke teller. I'm a storyteller, like that has jokes within it.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to know what you're doing. I'm not going to get up there and give you punchy one-liners or even 2 or 3 liners, which is what, I've done roast battles, and God bless Brian Bizjack for putting on Insult Attack. It's a great show. I love doing roast battles, but my roasts are almost like soliloquies.
Yeah.
I don't have the, you look like a blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
I would say like, you look like Hugh Morris, I know you kind of do look like Hugh
I
Morris.
do. I just don't abuse my, coworkers.
Yeah. But yeah, no, man, it really goes to, David Cross, Dave Attell, maybe it's just Dave's. I don't like Dave Chappelle really that much. I was trying, like, I love Letterman. I love the way he does stuff. There's some other guys.
Letterman is to this day, even if you watch his Netflix shows and stuff like that, he downplays so much. He's so subtle with a lot of his stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like but when he gets a dig or something, like, you can tell if you know Letterman and you watch like his late night stuff and stuff. When he didn't like a guest or he didn't like something, and he wanted to do a subtle dig. He was like the master of them. Getting those, like, the guest could tell that he didn't like them, but to the audience and like the naive, it'd be like, oh, it's just a smart little comment. But like if you read between the lines, he's like tearing that guy a new asshole.
Yeah, and for me, if you get into that Mr. Show tree, Scott Aukerman, who hosts Comedy Bang Bang, I love Scott Aukerman.
With Reggie Watts, who's coming to Tulsa soon.
Yeah, like Scott Aukerman and that whole like type of comedy is for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't always translate very well.
Alt comedy, kind of like
a
quirkiness.
little bit of alt comedy. I always tell a story of that we're coming out of the we're semi out of the pandemic or whatever, and Zach and I booked a show in Fort Scott, Kansas.
Yeah.
I had my set pretty much in my head. I'm not a person that really writes down a set, or I usually just get up and kind of go, but I have a basic idea. And I look up at the TV that's showing these breweries specials, and it says the Communist Party flu virus, and I'm like, oh, okay,
wow,
I'm getting ready to go edit a lot of my set because it is not going to work for this crowd whatsoever. We've got to be very prescient about who we're doing our set to.
Yeah,
I like Reggie Watts. I am concerned that a lot of people are going to go to that show and not know what they're getting into.
Yes.
Like, because
please go watch his TED Talks.
It is not a stand-up show.
Yes.
It is.
It's more of an experience kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, I like Hannibal Buress. I love Hannibal Buress, but it's not that.
Yeah.
Reggie Watts is you said it's an experience type thing. So I think a lot of people might buy that and just kind of walk away and go, I got to tell you, one of the shows that turned me off the most was when Tig Notaro was in town.
Really?
And I know you're not supposed to talk shit about Tig Notaro or whatever, but like she just got up on stage and shit on Tulsa and shit on the Cain's Ballroom for an hour. And I'm like, all right, I get that you can shit on things. That's fine and funny. You could talk about Tulsa being a cow town and doing whatever you want to do. And maybe your whole shtick is you don't want to be here.
Yeah.
But it legitimately felt like she didn't want to be there. And I'm sorry, but that's the Cain's Ballroom stage.
Yeah.
Get it out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
If that had been, the infamous Vanilla Ice getting kicked out, if that had been in the 90s and she got up there and said that, she'd have got her ass kicked out of that place for saying that.
Yeah.
And that's really one of the few times where I've ever been just like, it wasn't even like she's saying anything offensive, and it was like, okay.
The tone.
It was just honestly like I felt like she didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I equate it to the time that I saw The Police play. I'm enjoying the Police, I'm hearing Sting and his great vocals.
Yeah, not that Sting.
Not that Sting. No, not the man called Sting.
Which, I mean, you can't hear them. If you punch him, he'll make sounds.
But I equate it to watching Sting and Andy Summers and Stuart Copeland look like they fucking hated each other and did not want to be there.
Yeah.
And
it comes across in the final product.
It does. And, you know, you see that with some people that come through town, Pauly Shore, that come through town, and they don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, then don't fucking be here.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't take the booking.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do it. I mean, I know you're way more successful to me, in my opinion.
Like it's beneath them.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have guys that some people may or may not like. I'm forgetting his fucking name. Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, yeah.
Who loves Tulsa.
Yeah.
Who just kind of comes here and does shit.
Yeah.
Doesn't even do shows.
He was in Res Dog. He did great in that.
He just like hangs out in Tulsa. You know, Jack White. You know, Jack White's not a comedian, but like he's going to do those secret shows where he's announcing the day. You know, he's doing a fucking show at the Canes, right? And it's just like, if you don't want to be here, don't be here.
Well, I mean, that's what kind of got me back into, like, you know, podcasting. I honestly say, like, kind of saved my life during COVID because, like, I was really recluse and stuff like that. And, like, I latched on to these comedians that were, like, really doing good podcasts and stuff like that. Like, that's where I got back into, like, being a Bobby Lee fan and stuff.
Yeah.
I identify with a lot of Bobby Lee shit, like, you know, sexual trauma growing up and stuff like that. Like, I identify with a lot of his stuff. So, like, when I heard that he was shooting Res Dogs and, like, on his off days, he's just riding a Lime scooter down downtown Tulsa and going to these open mics, just hanging out and stuff. I'm like, one of my comedy guys that I look up to is just in Tulsa doing a show. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know what I mean? Like,
just chilling out. I mean,
it kind of got me out of the show a lot. Like,
and you know, I'm saying if you're scratching and you're grinding and stuff, you take shows that you may or may not want, right? Yeah, you don't want to go do this show, but fine, whatever. But if you got a certain level of fame and you don't want to be in a place, don't go fucking do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and everybody has an off day and stuff like that. But like,
yeah.
Again, it's like one of the things we have to do is showmanship, right?
Yeah.
We have stage presence. If your stage presence is showing the audience like, hey, go fuck yourself, I don't want to be here, maybe change it up.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I am by no stretch of the imagination saying that Trevor Lawrence is a great comedian.
Yeah.
But he had a good fucking time while he was here.
Yeah.
And I went to that show, and I had a good time at that show chilling with.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like he was genuinely happy to be here.
It's about 10, 12 years ago. My parents got me a birthday gift, and they took me to Jim Gaffigan at the Brady.
Yeah.
And one of the best live shows I've seen stand up. And, like, Jim Gaffigan was legit, like, having a good time. He was having a fun, you could tell it on his face. He was having a fun time.
And see, that's the thing. Same thing. That's what I'll say about Dave Chappelle. I've seen him twice. Once here and once at it was the Funny or Die comedy festival. I can't remember the name of it now. Both times he felt like he would rather be kicked in the nuts than being on that stage.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, thank God Fly to the Conchords was on the same show that I saw. They were hilarious.
That you're hitting all my right notes.
The girl, what's the girl's name that's on Fly to the Conchords?
Mel, what's her name? She's in a lot of different stuff.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
She did a set as well. And she was hilarious.
She has the Disney eyes. She's also like
she's on Last Man on Earth and
Bob's Burgers. She's one of the girls.
Yeah, like there were a ton of great comedians on that show.
Have you ever seen her stand up? Her Comedy Central special?
No. It
made headlines for the weirdest. So she's more of an alt comic, kind of that Reggie Watts stuff like that too. I can't remember her name. We'll bring it up. If you ever get a chance, go watch her 30-minute special, like her only special.
Yeah.
It ends the most awkward thing I've ever seen live on tape. It's basically she ends her set as if she fucked up the end of her set and gets awkward and just walks off stage. And it's captured like it's real. And even the audience is like, what the fuck is going on? That's how the show ends. It's so awkward.
You know, somewhat akin to that, and again, I feel so bad because now it seems like I'm a misogynist because I don't remember these female comedians' names. It's not Natasha Leggero, but it's the woman who was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine that played like the secretary.
Who's married to Jordan Peele.
Her special kind of has that meta thing to it as well, and it's a very good special.
Kristen Shaw is
Kristen Shaw, yes.
And then secretary. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, because I saw Natasha Leggero in town. She was great.
Chelsea Peretti,
yes.
Yeah.
Chelsea Peretti's special is very, very good. But you talk about someone that's kind of hot in the streets, I guess, to an extent that I love is Tim Robinson of I Think You Should Leave. Like, there's a series on Netflix called The Characters, and what the show that became I Think You Should Leave. So The Characters is, I think, 6 or 8 episodes, and each episode is a different comedian doing sketch characters, character work. And I can't remember who all does them, but he does one, and it's sort of like the prototype for what will become I Think You Should Leave on Netflix.
Okay.
And then if you like Tim Robinson, go watch Detroiters with Sam Richardson. Like, that's more of a sitcom, but not real. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
They play two their best friends, and they're like at a low budget ad agency in Detroit. So they make like local commercials, you know, like Snow's Furniture type shit, you know? But yeah, like his type of comedy, which I think is kind of a branch off of Mr. Show type comedy and stuff like that, is very much where I appreciate a good comedy though. And I will say that I do believe it is kind of a lost art form, especially when it comes to movies, to have just a good, stupid comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
things have to get meta. Things have to get like different demographics to pull different people. And like, I'm not saying that it's bad, but you kind of lose the forest from the tree, whatever it's called. You know what I mean? Like, it's like too much. Whatever you want to call it.
My wife and I watched both of those Vacation Friends movies with John Cena.
Yes.
And those are stupid fun.
Yeah.
They're
I really enjoyed the first one. I haven't seen the second one.
They're exactly what I wanted to imbibe.
Yeah.
Like, they are nothing more than mindless fun. There's no heartfelt message that I have to have or anything like that. And I do think that hopefully maybe that's one thing that we're going to get back a little bit more with more of these movie deals with the streaming services, because we just don't have those much anymore.
They're so worried about it being a bomb into the theater, so it's like it has to be attached to a name brand or a sequel or something, or be a big box office tentpole to be putting it in theater. Otherwise, it goes to a streamer.
Yeah, and who would have thought that John Cena would have been a comedic star?
Yeah,
I mean,
like he has a new movie with Aquafina on Prime.
And I've heard The Lottery or whatever. Yeah,
I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's. I think
his timing's impeccable though. He has great comedic timing.
I watched a scene from Peacemaker the other day, and I was just like,
I love Peacemaker.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, that's great.
That's really him playing the piano too, and when he's playing Home Sweet Home.
Oh yeah,
he learned how to play piano to play that song. And now it's like the dude's so talented. He taught himself piano to learn how to play Home Sweet Home from Motley Crue on piano. And then it shot to like #1 on Spotify the next day. And he had a #1 single of just him playing on the piano. No song, no words. It's just piano. And people are like, oh, that's John Cena playing. I got to listen to that.
John Cena. But I mean, I think that's when people are like,
who's kind of, well, I mean, we can go back to wrestling. We want to wrap it up. Like,
yeah.
The Rock's public image, ever since like Black Adam, and then like his resurgence with WWE, and then becoming the whole, the final boss and all that stuff, the backlash of like, almost kicking Cody Rhodes out of the main event and stuff like that, almost feels like did it do harm to his public image just in pop culture, you think?
Yes, I do. I think because if you're into that stuff, you know that he pulled those strings and wanted to make Black Adam basically Superman.
Yeah.
And I watched Black Adam, and I will say,
I got halfway through it and I turned it off.
Well, do yourself a favor and just go back and watch the Dr. Fate fight scene.
I like Dr. Fate. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate was the one thing I liked in the movie.
Dr. Fate fight scene at the end, toward the end-ish, is amazing.
Okay.
That's the only highlight of that movie for me.
That's what I was feeling. I was halfway through. I was like, this is a piece of shit.
Dr. Fate's fight scene is really, really good. The whole, like, when they're doing that. But yeah, I think The Rock really kind of sullied his image when he tried to kind of take over the DC and make himself.
Yeah, I like Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
That's a good Dr. Fate right there.
Yeah, and I mean, you see everything they're doing in Black Adam. They're trying to leave it open-ended.
I mean, they had Henry Cavill Superman pop up in there.
Yeah.
And then it fucked up him, like, you know, real life wise, basically with contracts and stuff. Like,
and it's just like, but yeah,
he left The Witcher, came back and did Superman, right? And then like, nope, never again.
I think The Rock realized that he had kind of screwed up.
He made himself a brand. I mean, everybody's celebrity is a brand, but like he's between Terramana and like his fucking energy drink and like all, you know, Zolo or whatever it's level.
I think the problem is he didn't realize that people could just go. Speaking of John Cena, hey, we have a perfectly good Rock right here.
Yep.
There you go. Perfectly good Rock right there.
Because there's, I mean, I hate to say there's a glass ceiling, but there's a peak you hit to where you're so high and so high, but your cost is so much that people can't even hire you.
Well, we think about
you've priced yourself out.
We want to put The Rock. We want to think about like Stallone and Arnie and all those guys. And if you go back and you look at it, I mean, and I'm sure I could be proven wrong by looking at their Wikipedias. They didn't do a whole lot of movies.
No.
They just did iconic movies.
They did more movies after their fame started to wane, and they were kind of going on their name, you know, all the sequels, all the other stuff. That happened later.
I mean, when people think Stallone, for me, I think basically First Blood.
Yeah.
And like, and then for my 80s cheese, Rocky 4.
Yeah.
But he did all those Rockies. He did the Rambo.
The one with the robot butler?
I think so.
Robot.
It's Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago. Yeah, so the robot butlers.
But he did all those. He did those movies. So he did quite a few movies, but not many of those stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Rocky 5 with Tommy Gunn.
Yeah, that's. But even like the newer Rockies, no one's like thinking about those as Stallone vehicles, the new Rambos.
Yeah.
No one's thinking about those.
I did like Creed 1. Creed 2 is
they're good movies, but no one's thinking of Stallone vehicles. And then Arnold, I mean, he did some stuff here and there. I mean,
yeah, just ask his, staff.
But it's just like, yeah. How many?
He did The Maid.
Yeah. But I mean,
you trying to say that kid didn't look? That kid wasn't his. Looks just like him.
Well, the kid had roids, so he's good. But I just don't think that.
You think they called the kid Junior? Subscribe now.
How about a sequel to Junior where women can have babies? I forget where that's from. It's from somewhere. But yeah, I mean, The Rock, I think, is just sort of. I think that he will be supplanted. By in the immediacy John Cena and then Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you want The Rock, but for cheaper, here's Roman Reigns.
Yeah. And then
if you want comedy and action, here's John Cena.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is just a weird wrestling question. I mean, there's so many times we could devote to this. Would The Rock have gotten to the heights that he had if it hadn't been for Stone Cold at the exact same time? They played off each other so well at the perfect amount of time. And you could argue that with Stone Cold, too. Would Stone Cold have been as high as he would if it hadn't been for The Rock? If you would have put Undertaker, Triple H, Mankind, any of those people in those spots, they wouldn't have hit as close as Rock and Stone Cold, those three manias. And
Stone Cold,
that chemistry and those characters with the exact perfect timing and the good writing at the same time, perfect timing. It was like lightning in a bottle.
The Rock needed Stone Cold more than Stone Cold needed The Rock.
Yeah.
Because everyone can relate to not liking your boss.
Yeah.
And you could put in that, you could have easily, and they did essentially at some point to a degree, you could easily put Triple H in the Rock position.
Yeah.
And because that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, Rock had the built-in late 90s heel heat of being black, basically. And Triple H doesn't bring that, but you could easily make Triple H, I
mean, he tried whenever they tried to imitate the Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
I mean, the blackface episode of Raw was...
You could easily make Triple H, like, daddy's boy, he's getting ahead in life, and Stone Cold could go against him. The Rock needed that sort of down-home foil that Stone Cold provided, or Chili McFreeze, as we all know him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, I mean, he struck while the iron is hot. And good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, people forget about those early movies being stinkers, though.
Don't forget the rundown. We brought up Arnold. Remember that scene where he passes Arnold in the club and he's like, "Good luck."
Yeah.
They do the handoff.
Yeah, and you got the Tooth Fairy in there, and you got all that stuff. I remember.
escaped the Witch Mountain.
Yeah, like he's got
which became a great meme. Like the meme of him turning around and that girl's in the back seat. That became like a meme generator thing for so many years.
He's got. I mean, he's got. Is there?
But he got that Moana money.
Yeah, and is there? I mean, think about it. Is there a movie that you go, this movie has to have The Rock?
It's hard. It's very hard for me to even say that. Gridiron Gang, possibly, maybe. I like that movie. It's a good movie.
Like, I don't know, because I mean, I guess you could maybe point to some of the Fast and Furious stuff, but like, I think you can.
Fast 5 when they introduced Luke Hobbs, maybe.
Yeah,
like that introduction. He's a great character in that Fast.
But I think about like Batista in Knives Out, Glass Onion.
Yep.
Rock could not play that Batista role. He looks the same.
Yeah.
But he couldn't play that role. Batista has that wild side to him, you know, that The Rock can't portray.
The Rock couldn't play Drax.
Oh, God, no. Yeah. I would argue that Batista is more iconic as an actor, as Drax, than anything The Rock has done.
Agreed.
Because no one gives a shit about Black Adam.
Yeah.
He screwed it up. He got too big of an ego.
Yeah.
Had he done Shazam versus Black Adam and just stayed in his lane, then maybe he becomes beloved DC hero.
Yeah.
Or DC.
And then now he's, you know,
kind of seen as like
one of the big owners of WWE too. Like now, like on the board.
He's on the TKO board.
Yep.
He owns the UFL or whatever the hell it is.
And he actually owns the trademark for Rock now.
Yeah.
They gave it to him. Like, it's part of the deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that he's there. I mean, but I can think about John Cena and I can think about Peacemaker and that being a role that he fits so perfectly.
Yes. I forget that he's John Cena.
Yeah.
That has happened so much. I had this weird epiphany. Like the Mania where Cena just randomly came back and had a match.
Yeah.
And he has this long hair with the bald spot and stuff now. I had this epiphany where I'm like, why is John Cena the actor at WrestleMania? Like it just kind of happened where it's like John Cena the actor is cosplaying as a wrestler.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like because he was so detached. And like I just had this moment. It just had this weird moment. I was just like, huh, that was a weird feeling. It's just like it almost felt like Snooki at WrestleMania or something like that. It just like it felt so far removed.
Yeah.
Because he had his long hair and he didn't look like traditional wrestling John Cena, and his muscle tone's gone down over the years because he's an actor now.
Yeah.
So like he looks physically a little bit different than traditional John Cena with the bowl cut or the buzz cut.
Yeah, I mean it's especially in the face. You get the thinner face, but I do think that it's Roman Reigns next up. Next man up is Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And
with his non-speaking role in Hobbs and Shaw. That whole movie. Hey, we're just gonna have it on this island with all these.
Well, you know,
that was the precursor to the Bloodline. You talked about that Netflix show where that one guy had the one episode and it turned into the Bloodline. We just watched that. That was just Hobbs and Shaw. The final act.
Well, he can be the live action Sylvester with Suffer and Succotash. So like, but I think that's going to be ultimately the next guy that goes and. People are like, he's the biggest star right now. I think the WWE is going to be fine without him.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of a shadow that looms over them, to be quite honest.
So it's kind of like that thing. They made him up so big and they beat everybody along the way that there's not really anybody built. That's kind of what happened with Cody. It's like Roman Reigns and the Bloodline destroyed so many people that like Cody became champion. It's like, well, there's not really anybody on his level.
Yeah, and you see that recently. I would say two storylines that you see that with Roman, who's come back recently and he's just leveling out the Bloodline. It's like, well, okay, so he's better than all of them.
Yeah.
And the same thing over on Raw with the Judgment Day of, well, if Rhea and Damian are destroying the entire Judgment Day each week, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, why are you booking it like AEW doesn't really do that. I mean, if they there's not one guy. They don't have like a guy that can just destroy everyone.
No, I mean, so they had them. They had Wardlow.
Yeah.
They had people like that. Lance Archer.
Yeah.
But they booked themselves in the corner. Tony Khan does not know how to book big guys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because every time he brings in Lance Archer, it's like, okay, we gotta have somebody to throw a big monster heel at. He's gonna have like 2 matches on ROH or on Rampage to build up a winning streak, and then he's ultimately gonna lose to the baby face.
Yeah.
That's his entire arc every time you bring him on TV, so now the audience doesn't care. Because you never gave us a win with him. Wardlow was unstoppable, and then you just dropped his momentum.
Wardlow worked the best when he was an enforcer
Yes.
for someone. And the enforcer Wardlow turning against MJF works.
It was until Max took all of his thunder that day before the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
When the whole shit happened where he may not show up or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the whole fake drama kind of shit.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the only way to book a big guy, especially if you're doing things like that, is sort of in that enforcer role. But yeah, I mean, they have the big guys. They have, Powerhouse Hobbs, but
they were starting to get him back turned around, then he got injured.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst TNT title reigns I've ever seen with Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, he just won the title from Wardlow, and then they flopped it back and forth, and they made the title. The title debate was meaningless until Christian Cage got a hold of it.
Yeah, I like...
Who's having a career renaissance. Like, oh my God, Christian Cage is phenomenal. I've always been a Christian mark.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me...
I actually made a custom little turtleneck for my Christian up there.
If you told me that there were two if it was WWE and there were two heavyweight championships...
Yeah.
I would say Christian would have one of them.
Yeah.
If there's one, though, you can't put him over Swerve. You can't put him over MJF. You can't put him over... I think at some point, and I don't know how they get there, but at some point, Darby Allin's going to win it.
But at the same time, like, we all know as wrestling fans, the thing with a babyface champion is it's all in the chase.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really cares once you win the title. Look at Cody right now. Again, but at the same time, they have no opponents for him really that can really stand a chance. But like, babyface champions are usually like not very long, in my opinion, in this modern age, because it's, I don't know, it's like, okay, they're gonna win. It's gonna be a John Cena.
Yeah, I mean, babyface champion has to have. I think
you want to see him fight against something and overcome it.
And I get what you were saying earlier about Orton.
Yeah,
I just don't.
It's not that I want to see it. I kind of see that's happening.
They're just not so close knit. Like a babyface champion, if they're going to have a program, has to have someone turn on them.
Yeah,
but it's got to be someone close to them, and I don't feel like anybody's close to Cody.
No, and I don't. I agree.
Yeah.
Like I said, the closest they have is like right now they're kind of hinting that Orton's like an ally of his.
Yeah.
And like Orton and him have a long history.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, they did have a WrestleMania match too with DiBiase. They had a 3-way. I had the results of WrestleMania 19. We talked about that card, right?
Yes. Let's wrap up on the card of WrestleMania 19.
So the pre-show was Lance Storm and Chief Morley.
Okay.
Not Val Venus. Chief Morley.
Yeah.
Versus the tag team champions of Kane and Rob Van Dam.
Okay. One of the random Kane pairings.
Okay, so first show, this is the main card. Opening match, Cruiserweight title, Rey Mysterio dressed as Daredevil versus Matt Hardy 1.0 with Shannon Moore. This was right at the height of Matt Hardy doing the Mattitude shit.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fantastic match. I love that match.
Is
Matt
Hardy a cruiserweight?
Matt Hardy was a cruiserweight. This was the time where Matt Hardy was comedy. And the joke was that he had to drop weight all the time to drop down to 220. He was like 225.
Yeah.
So like they would have him like in those like athletic black wraps, and he's like running behind things.
Okay.
So it was great. Second match was a piece of shit. It was The Undertaker versus The Big Show and A-Train, with Nathan Jones coming in for interference.
Didn't Undertaker beat both of them?
Because Nathan Jones was taken out during Sunday Night Heat because he couldn't wrestle. And that last call was like, okay, we're just gonna make this a handicap match because we don't have faith in him in a tag match. The next match, however, was one of the best gems in women's wrestling in a long time. Triple threat women's title match: Trish Stratus, Victoria, and Jazz.
Okay, so 3 real wrestlers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was a good women's match back in the day when we didn't really have those.
Yeah. No bras and panties.
No. One of my favorite, because a lot of times WrestleMania they just throw everybody in a tag team match to get them on the card. Triple threat for the world or for the SmackDown tag titles: Team Angle versus Los Guerreros versus Chris Benoit and Rhino. That was a fun match. Shawn Michaels versus Jericho.
There's okay, yeah.
That was a good one. Triple H versus Booker T, the one that was all about Booker T going to prison and not being good enough, and like the match where Booker T should have won.
Is this the one where Triple H takes forever to cover Booker T?
Yes, and also they did the Indian death lock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's wearing those purple tights.
Okay.
The street fight, 20 years in the making. Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon. The Rock versus Stone Cold, the last one where Austin retired. where he apparently went to the ER the morning of because he drank so many Red Bulls that he fucking gave himself almost a heart attack. And then the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle, where Brock Lesnar did the shooting star press and Angle had a broken neck.
Well,
in my mind, it was a good pay.
Yeah, it's a good pay-per-view. It's I mean,
it was a fun show.
Yeah.
And plus, when you like read behind the scenes, like how fucked up the card was, like Austin beforehand, like that morning was in the ER.
Yeah.
Angle broke a neck. Lesnar fucking breaks his neck almost, or head, concussion-wise, doing the shooting star press. And, like, you know, all those names that were in there and all that shit that was happening behind the scenes. It's like McMahon versus fucking Hogan.
Yeah.
It had it all.
I just hope that they keep the trajectory up in both promotions. I think both promotions are doing really well right now.
AEW is starting to rebuild. They lost a lot of momentum with the whole fucking All In last year with Punk and stuff like that. And like Adam Cole getting hurt, MJF getting hurt. Like they had last year was a year where a lot of shit happened and it had to rebuild.
The last thing I want to talk about though is, have you been paying attention to how MJF's been acting in England?
Yes.
He
went on Wrestle Talk. Oh my God.
I love Wrestle Talk. He's basically been Donald Trump.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
He is doing so just blatantly lying.
Well, like MJF, like bringing it back to comedy, like I tell people all the time, like even when I do my wrestling or my comedy flyers and stuff like that, I take a lot of like inspiration from wrestling. And like if you want to fucking study fucking like, you know, stand up or like crowd work or stage presence,
study your fucking crowd work. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
If there was one thing I want to wrap up on comedy, understand your fucking audience.
Yes. But like I'm saying, like study heel promos, like MJF, study how he interacts with people and how he is like 24/7, like just his presence and like how good he is on the mic. There's things you can study that you can pick up on that apply to stand up comedy.
Yeah, no, he's been great. I was just watching.
He's only like what 25.
Yeah, I watched that entire interview he did with them and just like, oh yeah, I beat Obu, I beat Obu in like 3 minutes. It's like you mean Oku? No, yeah, Mike Obu.
And then the American Championship.
Oh yeah,
taking it to England.
Yeah.
So like the last time we had like a big American, like I think the last time that like was so like blatant was Kevin Owens. Remember when he went pro America for a bit? When he went to SmackDown and Vince like suddenly you just love America even though you're Canadian.
Yeah.
Because he was going for the U.S. title.
But even then, it's not like.
He wore a suit and stuff for a little bit.
Yeah, it's not what MJF's doing.
No.
Yeah, MJF is doing his full Donald Trump, and it is quite.
Have you seen the flag of the U.S. that he has?
No.
Well, there's the one that he puts out on Dynamite that's just like instead of the stars and the blue, it's just all MJF heads.
Yeah.
And it's a gigantic American flag.
Yes, yeah.
But he also has these other ones that have been going on social media where like he's like, I'm the American champion, and it shows like a white outline of like the United States, and it's just New York and New Jersey blown up. And it just says the United States of America. It's just the people.
Nice.
It's just the states that he wants to fucking like
I love to shtick at Rev Pro, just doing the whole wearing Hulk Hogan's tights and doing the leg drop and doing everything was just like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's
the dude got a kangaroo kick over.
Yeah, like, my brother is like, my brother watches wrestling, but not as much as me. But he's like, I will watch MJF.
Yeah,
like because it is so good. So.
Yeah. He's like one of the. I know he's a CM Punk mark back in the day. We can wrap this up, but like back in the day, remember the invisible microphone promo that CM Punk did back in the day?
No, I don't.
Have you never seen the invisible microphone?
I'm sure I have. But
so it's back in like ICW, like indie wrestling days. CM Punk before he was on, ECW and all that stuff. He would do this thing where he would talk to his hand, and he didn't need a microphone. He would just yell, and it was like an invisible microphone. And he goes to this redneck woman in the crowd, and he's like, "You dumb bitch!" And he leans out and holds the invisible microphone, and she leans in to talk to it. And he goes, "You dumb bitch! I'm not even holding a microphone." Because she leaned into the fake microphone to talk louder.
Yeah, I saw the thing of when MJF was doing his Bret Hart, like, Bret Hart gives the glasses, MJF gives the towel, and he reaches down to the kid, and the kid goes, "I'm adopted?"
Yeah.
It was like, such good subtle work. Like, That's what happens, and when you see that stuff in AEW and it comes more from the guys themselves, you understand.
Well, if you do it tongue in cheek, like if you're in on the joke and you don't make the audience feel like they're an idiot.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my detachment came with WWE in the later Vince era. Was like, you're treating me like I'm a fucking like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to drop the R word. Like, you're treating me like a fucking idiot. Like, the main event or the matches don't matter. Every Roman Reigns match is just going to be interference and he's going to win the title. He's going to keep the title for fucking 2 years. Like, I just lost interest and then, like, it was just like, things didn't really matter if I knew more about the characters and stuff like that.
I think that's, they would probably never do it, but like if I was Solo Sikoa in that bloodline thing, that would be my thing is like, you wouldn't have had that title for 2 years if I didn't cheat for you in every single match. Like, we all saw it.
Yeah.
So why not just say it?
Well, it's like, do you remember Retribution?
Yeah.
So, like, the best thing is, like, MXM, the group that's, Madden and whatever his name, Mansoor.
Yeah.
They are blowing up ROH and AEW now. Like, they're so good over there now.
Yeah.
Like, their male model gimmick that it took. They had it in SmackDown and stuff, too, for a little bit.
Maximum male models.
Yeah. Another thing that was, like, got over with the crowd and Vince didn't do shit with it.
Yeah.
But, like, they were talking on a podcast about the early days of Retribution, about how, like, they were an anarchy group. And, like, for the first, like, couple of months, there weren't any wrestlers assigned. It was just like extras that were in black all outfits, and they were like blowing up a generator backstage at Raw and stuff like that. And like they were causing anarchy, and like they were wrecking out the wrestling crew at SmackDown and Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they finally assigned all the wrestlers and gave them the horrible masks and stuff like that, Dijak and all them, they're like, "Oh, you're going to be exclusive to the Raw brand." But we're anarchists that are out to destroy the company, but we're only going to do it on Monday nights.
Yep, only on Mondays.
And like right there, it's like that's
only
stupid.
on Mondays.
Like, yeah,
only on Mondays.
It's like when you start questioning that kind of stuff, it's like that just somebody should do another pass.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways,
well, dude, like where can everybody follow the great Dustin DeVore?
Well, right now,
Dr. Dustin DeVore,
Reverend Dr. Dustin DeVore. Right now, probably if I get back to it, I'll start posting videos again on TikTok at Dr. Dustin DeVore. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I am working on a couple podcasts and video ideas. One of them will be basically cooking based, but it'll be cooking using artificial intelligence.
Ooh.
So rudimentary plans is to have a staple cupboard full of stuff, have a guest bring 3 or 4 ingredients, we put it into AI, see what they create, and then we go cook the dish and shoot the shit and all that.
That's a good idea.
Probably some Tulsa-centric stuff that I'll do. And as far as a comedy podcast, I'll probably honestly wait until my cohort Sean returns back to, Gettin Greasy. We lasted over 200 episodes, but with Sean living in Boston and working a job that started at 4 a.m. and life things and everything else.
Fucking time zones.
Yeah, it just became difficult, So we'll do something else. We've always thrown around maybe doing Always Sunny or something like that. But yeah, and I'm going to start getting back out some more and maybe booking some stuff in the future, not only for myself, but to try to get back in the booking game. Because when it comes to me and booking, I book people who are funny.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I have 2 rules. I try to book you if you're funny. 3 rules. Are you funny? Are you able to like at least draw?
Yeah.
Like not just your boyfriend.
No.
Like, try to at least say, hey, come on.
Yeah. Are you going to try?
Yeah, you're going to try. And number 3, just don't be an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just treat with respect, that's all I ask.
Yeah. So right now pretty dormant, but I'll start being. If you see me at some open mics pretty soon, and outside of that, I don't really know. Maybe I should just become the first comedian that really utilizes LinkedIn.
There you go.
Just LinkedIn comedy.
Yeah. You hear that, John Mulaney? No, man. Like, I just really want to get that out there. Like, when you start getting that stuff ramped up, I would love to have you back on like Tulsa Comics React. We can react and watch something over there, pick a movie or something like that, and just chill out.
Yeah.
And like, the more that I like between this Tulsa Comics React and my live shows, I'm just trying to throw different things on YouTube that help spotlight all the talent here.
Yeah,
that's great. Not just me producing. Like, hey, here's 15 minutes of their show.
Well, I do want to give a shout out to Brian Bizjack and Nicole Miller, who have kept
Hunt Club
going. Zach and I started Hunt Club really early out of the pandemic. I'd like to say it's Tulsa's longest running weekly open mic, which it is at this point. But shout out to them. So if you've been there to Hunt Club, you've used my equipment.
Nice.
And that for some people that might be taken multiple ways. But yeah, so go hit up the Hunt Club, hit up the other places. It's always a revolving door, but it seems like the Hunt Club is the constant. So
it's a good vibe there, great food there,
and we're getting into the sweet spot of the Hunt Club,
where it's not hot,
where it's not hot and not zero.
Yes.
So it's like late September, October, November at the Hunt Club is amazing.
Can I? This will give me I would say it's a compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, this is somebody that like really tries to go to open mic and stuff like that. Hunt Club is the only open mic that has two completely different atmospheres in the same building.
Oh yeah.
If the open mic, if it's super hot and we're gonna do it inside, the entire vibe feels different when you're inside doing the open mic than going outside on the stage.
Yeah.
So you can do the same set at the same place 2 different weeks, and it's a completely different atmosphere. And you can't really get that anywhere else.
Yeah, and you kind of get a actual, Tulsa now to an extent has this comedy club vibe with Bricktown, but where there is a separation between a bar and the showroom.
Yeah.
And if you're outside at the Hunt Club, you get that separation of, there are people coming here to drink, but there are also people coming here to see the open
actual
mic.
show, yeah.
So, I mean, go check those guys.
And it's a good location downtown, too, where all the different stuff that's happening. The Vanguard, Hanson's down there.
Check those guys out. If you want to go back and hear Zach and Sean and I be absolutely drunk idiots, if you're a fan of Trailer Park Boys, go back and listen to Gettin Greasy on... you should be able to get the whole...
Spotify, Apple Podcast.
Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, if that still exists.
Subscribe to their Facebook. They have a page on there.
Yeah, we have a page, Gettin Greasy Industries. So.
I have not listened to it for one specific reason, and I have waited 2.5 hours to tell you this. I have never watched a single episode of the Trailer Park Boys.
Well, I'm going to give you the one disclaimer that we give everyone who has not watched a single episode of the Trailer Park Boys.
Okay.
First episode sucks.
Okay.
Get past the pilot. Watch the first season. If you like it after the first season, they're short seasons. They're Canadian.
It's like first season of The Office or Parks and Rec.
Yeah, they're like 6-8 episodes. The pilot is pretty much solely introducing characters, and it's just not very good.
Okay.
But outside of that, it's great. But yeah, if you ever want to go listen to the podcast and follow along, you can hear us. Yeah, you can hear us. You can hear us talk a lot. So.
Well, that sound of that side means it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, Dustin DeVore, Reverend Dr. Dustin DeVore, thank you so much for being a part of Unloading Meat.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you for coming here to Bartlesville.
Bartlesville.
It's been a fun time. Guys, please follow Reverend Dr. Dustin DeVore.
Yeah.
One of these times I'll get it right. It's so many names.
It's okay.
A guy with 3 first names, Jared Ralphie Allen.
I'm gonna go to law school so I can add Esquire. So.
Esquire.
Yeah.
Ooh, not like that shitty magazine. Anyway, that's been our time. I'm Jared Ralphie Allen. That's Reverend Dr. Dustin DeVore. This has been Unloading Meat. Peace.
Unloading the meat. 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 I don't even know what it means, what it is, what it is, what it is.
Bye. Have a great time.